Chapter 342. 1 day, 10 days, 100 days. In the world of his mind, Ning Fan sat alone for 100 days and had already devoured 50,000 crystals. The world of his mind was filled with darkness. Only his body was emitting a faint black starlight. It's about time. Ning Fan slowly rose to his feet and muttered to himself. The devil qi around his body had already reached 83,470 units. With such dense devil qi, his cultivation base had broken through to the mid-divine transformation realm. In terms of devil cultivation base alone, the combined power of all the gods, demons and devils in his body had already exceeded 150,000 units. In other words, even if his cultivation base had yet to break through to the late divine transformation realm, the density of his magic power had already reached the standard of a late divine transformation realm expert. If he uses the soul extracting technique now, it would probably be enough for him to reach the peak divine transformation realm, with the help of the secret technique. Not only did his devil qi increase, but his physical body had also improved to the third level of the jade life realm. In the first place, he was already a corpse devil body which unlocked the limits of the human body's power and defense. After going through the refinement of the starlight, the strength of his physical body had greatly increased. The body of a cultivator at the third level of the jade life realm was on par with other cultivators at the fourth level of the jade life realm. With just the strength of his physical body, he could fight against a peak divine transformation realm expert. These were just the improvements in his cultivation base. What delighted Ning Fan the most was another benefit. His long hair fluttered in the wind. Suddenly, he raised his head and pointed at the sky. In his right eye, the second black star had completely condensed. It was called the Star of Body Refinement. Its effect was to use the power of the stars to heal and cure injuries. As he pointed at the sky, 5 pitch-black stars appeared one after another, sprinkling black starlight down. Under the 5 rays of starlight, Ning Fan's injuries had already been healed. The effect of a ray of starlight healing was equivalent to consuming a 5th revolution pill. The effect of 5 rays of starlight healing was almost equivalent to consuming 5 5th revolution pills. If I condense 1 million stars, even if my cultivation base is low, ordinary immortal emperors won't be able to kill me. This technique has great potential. If I cultivate it well, it will certainly become an indispensable trump card for me in the future. Ning Fan nodded. He was extremely satisfied with this Emperor Star inheritance. The purpose of his trip to the Broken World and the Star Palace was to improve his strength. Today the results were obvious. Other than his magic power which was still weak and he had yet to attain the divine transformation realm, his demon power and devil qi had been cultivated to an extremely high level. Even if the current Ning Fan returns to the external endless sea and enters the internal endless sea, he would still be able to move unhindered without being afraid of the demon sealing sect. Moreover, if the master of the demon sealing sect, Lu Jiefan, encounters Ning Fan, he would need to avoid him. That day when I entered the endless sea, in order to save Suqiu, I provoked the demon sealing palace. Now the demon sealing sect is no longer a threat. Ning Fan's tone was calm. He had really become stronger. Even if he returns to Yu country, he would be able to take over a territory and proclaim himself as the old ancestor of the country. He would be invincible below the void refinement realm. Perhaps, after returning to the outer endless sea this time, I can settle some karma and enter the inner endless sea again to help you, or reclaim the divine space island. After that I can go home. Go home. I've been away from home for too long. Ning Fan looked at the stars above his head and his eyes turned gentle. Even though he was shouldering tremendous pressure and cultivating bitterly, compared to many people he was already blessed. He had a family, a wife, a master, a younger brother, and an ordinary but warm past. Perhaps, I still have my mother. Ning Fan was a little expectant. He killed mortals in the Cloud Sea and saw his mother in the illusion. He would never forget those scenes. Perhaps his mother was still alive somewhere in the world. Perhaps, there would still be a day for them to meet again. Speaking of which, I didn't have a father or a mother since I was young, and I've never experienced the warmth of a parent. To a cultivator, it's a pity to lack this level of understanding. Moreover, from the bottom of my heart, I also want to meet my mother. Ning Fan put away his complicated thoughts. He knew that now was not the time to think about these things. Returning to the outer endless sea meant reuniting with some people. At the same time, it also meant parting ways with Yuan Yao, Shi Ran, Wu Yan and the other women. From Ning Fan's point of view, he had already left an unforgettable memory of being together with them through thick and thin. He had never said any flowery words to his women. All he did was to give them his sincerity in exchange for their sincerity. Since he was reluctant to part with them, the three women would probably be reluctant too. Moreover, before he left, he still needed to fulfill Lu Daochun's request and remove the Sin Seal for Lu Wu. Once the Sin Seal is removed, Lu Wu would be free from the pain of being burned by the Sin Seal every day. He could then enter samsara and begin his next life of reincarnation and cultivation. I'm leaving. It was as if he was talking to himself. However, the world in his mind immediately collapsed like an illusion. In the Cloud Palace, Ning Fan, who had been standing still for 100 days, opened his eyes. His aura force was at least twice as strong as before he received the Emperor Star's inheritance. You're awake? Good. Good. You've already grasped the Celestial Emperor Star technique. Amazing. If you have the opportunity in the future, you might even have the chance to become the next Celestial Sovereign, if you carry this technique forward. Lu Wu lowered his body and looked at Ning Fan with eyes full of praise. Senior, you must be joking. Ning Fan shook his head. He was a man who had his feet on the ground. Now that he was just at the divine transformation realm, he was countless cultivation levels away from the celestial sovereign realm. Thus, he would not indulge in idle fantasies. I've told you before that I have two objectives for coming here. One is to obtain the Emperor Star's inheritance, and the other is to help you remove the Sin Seal. Now that I've obtained the Emperor Star, I can completely complete my mission if I remove the Sin Seal. Sin Seal, huh? I believe you can remove it. Lu Wu's eyes were filled with anticipation. The Sin Seal had been planted on him for far too long. It would act up every night, making his body feel like it was burning, and the pain was unbearable. When he died, he could no longer be resurrected. Only his remnant soul was left. As for this remnant soul, it was sealed by the Sin Seal and could not be reincarnated. To cultivators, death was something they couldn't do anything about. It meant that they would lose all of their cultivation base, and they would have to start all over again. However, as long as their soul did not disperse and they still had the chance to enter samsara, they would still be able to live another life. To mortals, death was terrifying. To cultivators, however, what was scarier than death was having one's soul dispersed and being unable to reincarnate. It was exactly because they valued samsara so much that they were willing to give up on it that Ning Fan was shocked. Just like that day when the old ancestor of the Hu clan, Hu Fengzi, was willing to sacrifice his soul for the prosperity of his clan, and condense a cultivation pill in exchange for Ning Fan's help to protect his clan. The cultivation world was cold and selfish. However, at the same time, there was also warmth, righteousness and touching. Senior, please bear with the pain for a while. I will help you remove the Sin Seal now. Ning Fan tapped the tip of his feet and soared into the sky, landing on the back of the giant beast. He crouched down and touched the blood-red Sin Seal on the back of the giant beast. Just by touching it, the Sin Seal released a terrifying heat that burnt his fingers. The power of this Sin Seal was a little more terrifying than what Ning Fan had imagined. Fortunately, this little injury was nothing to be afraid of at all. The tip of his finger was surrounded by black starlight. Just a little bit of starlight was enough to heal his burnt finger, making it as good as new. The black star healing technique really lived up to its reputation. With this technique, Ning Fan was a divine doctor. It was as easy as flipping his hand to revive a person with white bones. The Sin Seal is the punishment that the large clans of the true spirit realm give to the demons who have sinned. Ever since the demon race lost their spirit, a large number of members of the true spirit clan no longer have the royal bloodline. Only a few members of the true spirit clan still have the royal bloodline. This Sin Seal can only be planted and removed by those with the royal bloodline. This means that once the Sin Seal is planted in you by the large clans of the true spirit clan, you must obey the orders of the clan. Otherwise, no one will remove the Sin Seal for you. Then, you will no longer have the chance to reincarnate, and you will have to suffer for eternity. Lu Wu's eyes darkened. His tone was filled with anger. It was imaginable how humiliating it was for him to be forced by the True Spirit clan to plant the Sin Seal in him. If you can't remove the Sin Seal, then forget it. This is just a small matter. I have been enduring this kind of pain for more than 100 million years, and I have already gotten used to it. However, I will not give in the end. The moment I put on the Heavenly Marshal's armor, I have already disregarded life and death. Lu Wu's eyes were filled with heroic spirit. Ning Fan had seen that kind of heroic spirit in the eyes of many demon generals of the Lu clan before. There were not many people like them in the cultivation world who would burn their blood and swear that they would not surrender even if they died. However, there were quite a number of them in the 9 divisions of the Lu clan. It was the heroic spirit of raising one's arm and shouting, "As a general, there is no need to fear death. Don't worry. I have promised Lu Daochen to save you. This mere Sin Seal is nothing to me. The person who planted this Sin Seal does not have a weak bloodline. He has almost condensed half a drop of ancestral blood. However, a mere half a drop of ancestral blood is too weak in my eyes." Ning Fan bit the tip of his tongue and spurted out a purplish-black blood mist. As soon as the blood mist landed on Lu Wu's back, the indelible blood-red Sin Seal began to tremble. So what if it's a Sin Seal with half a drop of ancestral blood? He has 4 drops of ancestral blood in his body. If the Fu Li clan still exists, he will be the ancestor of the clan. Break. The purplish-black blood mist glowed with a dim light and formed a secret formation mark on Lu Wu's back. At the moment when the formation mark took shape, the purplish-black light around Lu Wu's body shone brightly. Within the light, the Sin Seal that was deeply rooted in Lu Wu's body was corroded and dissipated with a sizzling sound. Huffed at Lu Wu's body suddenly trembled, and he exhaled a mouthful of murky qi. His eyes were filled with surprise. The Sin Seal was broken. He was free now. His remnant soul could re-enter samsara. Within the dim cloud palace, white light shot up to the sky all of a sudden. Those white lights were all shot out from Lu Wu's remnant soul. In the dazzling white light, his soul seemed to have evaporated as if it had sensed the call of samsara. "Thank you. Thank you. I am going to re-enter samsara. Thank you." Lu Wu's eyes were filled with surprise. After re-entering samsara, this life would be over. In the next life, he would be reborn. It's a promise I made and a promise I will do. That's all. Senior, you don't have to thank me. Ning Fan leaped down from the beast's body and stood on the ground. Looking at Lu Wu who was rising to the sky in the white light, his eyes were filled with gratification. Everyone had their own happiness. To many people, death was terrifying. However, to Lu Wu, being able to re-enter samsara after death was a kind of happiness. Lu Wu's soul dissipated in the white light. Ning Fan suddenly felt inspired. He patted his storage pouch and took out 2 jars of mud-sealed wine. He held 1 jar for himself and tossed the other one to the sky. Then he said loudly, "Wouldn't it be a pity if I don't have wine to send you on a long journey?" Lu Wu, whose body was enveloped by the white light, was stunned. Then he burst into laughter. He opened his mouth and swallowed the wine jar into his stomach. Ning Fan had snatched this wine from an unlucky person. It was some kind of medicinal wine, and it was not a good wine. However, Lu Wu did not despise it at all. Looking at Ning Fan, he felt as if he regretted not meeting his bosom friend earlier. Well said. What a good way to send you on a long journey. Everyone is afraid of death and samsara. However, you compared death to a long journey. I can't be compared to your heroic spirit. I will drink this wine. If we are fated to meet again in my next life, I will definitely sit on a high and dangerous building and drink a pot of real good wine with you. Alright. If we are fated, I will definitely drink with you in my next life. Ning Fan's understanding of samsara became deeper and deeper. That's right. Just like what he said before, samsara is just a long journey. It was a process of walking from life to death, and then from death to life. However, it seemed like there was more to it than that. The white light gradually dimmed. Lu Wu's figure gradually disappeared, and his laughter gradually disappeared. He went to be reincarnated. In his next life, he might be a farmer, a mortal martial expert, or a scholar. There probably wouldn't be many chances for him to cultivate the Tao. The cloud palace turned dark again. Only Ning Fan was left standing in silence for a long time. He seemed to be recalling his feelings when he erected a grave for the old ancestor of Wei country, sending him to his death. After a long time he patted his storage pouch and took out a wordless heavenly book. This book was exchanged with the contribution points of the sinister Sparrow sect. There were no words on the book, but there was only the words sending him to his death on the cover. In the past he did not know who wrote this book. Now he understood that it was the handwriting of immortal sovereign Zido. Immortal sovereign Zido once sent a friend to his death. Sending him to his death. Today, I send him to his death. In the next life he will send me off. Is this samsara? Ning Fan's comprehension increased. All of a sudden, a faint purple light rose from the wordless heavenly book. The pages of the book moved without any wind. When the breeze blew open the first page of the book, the originally blank white paper slowly revealed 24 arrogant words written in ink. The death of an immortal is like the extinguishing of a lamp. The death of an immortal is like the scattering of his thoughts. This is samsara. Ning Fan's expression changed. It turned out that this wordless heavenly book was not without words. The words on it were just erased by the power of samsara. Chapter 343. These 24 words seemed to have appeared for a brief moment. Then they slowly disappeared from the white paper, leaving it blank once again. Ning Fan fell into deep thought while reciting the 5-character poem. Death is like the extinguishing of a lamp. One extinguishes and the other reignites. There is the principle of reincarnation in this, but I don't understand it. This poem perhaps contains Zido's comprehension of reincarnation throughout his life. However, with Ning Fan's current cultivation level and experience, he was far from being able to understand it. It was like standing on the shore and looking at the sea. He could vaguely see the sea fog immortal island at the horizon. However, that scenery was too ethereal and illusory. He could not see it clearly at all. He kept the wordless heavenly book and put away all of his emotions. Looking at the empty main hall of the Cloud Palace, Ning Fan gently exhaled, as if he had just completed an important task. Master Lu, I've done what I promised you. He was clearly muttering to himself. However, in the second world, in the Luoyun tribe, an old man who was standing in the Luoyun County manor silently shed tears while looking at the sky. Yinjiang, why are you crying? The attendants beside him were at a loss of what to do. All of you can leave now. I want to be alone and have some peace. Just a moment ago, the last trace of bestowment power in Lu Daochen's left eye disappeared. That power was given to him by General Lu. Even though Lu Daochen resisted the Blood Wolf in the Star Palace and destroyed his own bestowment star, he still retained a trace of power after consuming the 6th revolution pill that Ning Fan gave him. However, that power disappeared for no reason just now. Lu Daochen did not feel regretful about losing that power. Instead, he was overjoyed. It was because he had already guessed that the reason why that power suddenly disappeared was because Lu Wu had returned to reincarnation and took back the bestowment power on his own accord. He shed tears because he was overjoyed and sad at the same time. He knew that just now, Ning Fan had fulfilled his promise with him and removed the evil seal that Lu Wu was afflicted with. Lu Bei, thank you for saving General Lu. The night breeze blew. Lu Wu's eyes were filled with tears as he bowed twice to the sky. Firstly, he was grateful for Lu Wu's help in the past. Secondly, he was grateful for Ning Fan's help. In the Cloud Palace, Ning Fan stood there for a long time. In the end, he walked out of the palace. The moment he walked out of the palace seemed to let out a whimpering sound and collapse with a loud bang. The ladies outside the palace were a little worried. They did not know what had happened to the Cloud Palace that actually made Ning Fan stay inside for 100 days. However, when they saw that Ning Fan was safe and sound, their worries faded away. In fact, after sensing Ning Fan's even more boundless qi, Shiran was the first to cry out in surprise. Big brother Lu Bei, your aura is so strong. Did your cultivation level increase again? Did he break through to the late stage of the divine transformation realm? Shiran was merely a late divine transformation stage cultivator. The current Ning Fan was not any weaker than Shiran in terms of the density of his magic power. She could not help but feel astonished. I haven't broken through to the late divine transformation realm. I'm still at the mid-divine transformation realm. However, my strength has indeed improved a lot. As soon as Ningfan finished speaking, he became silent for a moment. As if she had sensed something, stopped smiling. Wu Yan lowered her head. Yuan Yao bit her lip lightly, and the atmosphere became silent. I'm going to leave the Star Palace. Ningfan's tone was calm. However, this simple sentence of farewell made the three ladies feel a little bitter. Everyone has their own responsibilities. Ningfan's responsibility was to become stronger and protect his loved ones. Yuan Yao had to return to the Northern Heaven. Wu Yan and Shiran had to return to the Spirit King Palace after all. The trip to the Star Palace was full of dangers. However, it was precisely because they had followed each other through life and death that made it even more unforgettable. Wu Yan tried her best to remain calm, but her shoulders were trembling slightly. She could not forget that day when she was being chased by the old bear. If it wasn't for Ningfan, she would have already died. She could not forget that in order to help her avoid the punishment of being imprisoned for 10,000 years, Ningfan captured Imperial Concubine Zi and 10 other demon concubines. He did not care about the Spirit King Palace's investigation at all. Wu Yan couldn't bear to part with him. Shiran felt a lump in her throat and her tears fell. She promised Ningfan that she would be strong and become an independent pill refinement grandmaster. She would never cry again. However, Shiran never knew that parting with Ningfan was such a sad thing. She could not hold back her tears, as if she could not forget the warmth of Ningfan's embrace. That day, Ningfan hugged her and bathed the sea of stars in blood. That day, she was sneak attacked by the enemy using the evil cold goo. When she was in despair, only Ningfan stood in front of her and protected her. Shiran was reluctant to part with him. Yuan Yao closed her phoenix eyes slightly. Her cultivation base was profound. She was in the great oblivion and her expression was calm. However, in the end, her heart could not forget this absurd but warm past. With her cultivation base, she never needed anyone to protect her. However, when her injuries were at their worst and she was at her weakest, it was Ningfan who shielded her from the wind and rain. This might be the only time in her life that she had to hide behind a man. However, the helplessness of reality made Yuan Yao not even dare to tell Ningfan her real name. Yuan Yao was also reluctant to part with him. Slap. 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 3 crisp sounds of slapping suddenly resounded in the air. Immediately, Shiran screamed in surprise. Wu Yan's eyes were filled with panic while Yuan Yao's phoenix eyes were filled with shame and anger. The three of them covered their perky buttocks at the same time and turned their heads angrily. They saw Ningfan waving his hand and revealing a harmless smile. The three sounds were naturally from Ningfan's devil claws slapping their perky buttocks. It feels pretty good. Big brother Liu Bei, why you're shameless? Shiran waved her fists angrily. You stinky little thief. Wu Yan's face blushed. She was probably the only woman who did not have dual cultivation with Ningfan. That slap was naturally very stimulating. Why you're really? Yuan Yao really did not know what to say to Ningfan. However, after Ningfan made such a scene, the sad atmosphere of parting immediately turned into a charming and gentle atmosphere. Little cucumber, you're really something. Yu Lingkong looked at Ningfan with admiration. For a sex fiend to be able to act so openly and righteously like Ningfan, it was truly unprecedented and would never be replicated in the future. The female corpse was confused. Her eyes were filled with confusion as she mumbled, "Pa, pa, pa." She wanted to ask why Ningfan slapped their buttocks. The three of them were not disobedient. Ningfan smiled and shook his head. The atmosphere had eased up. It's about time to leave. Yao Er. Ningfan said with a teasing tone. Yuan Yao was speechless. She was cursing him in her heart. She thought to herself that this Liu Bei really does things his own way. He thinks that he can take advantage of me after being absurd twice. Yao Er. He's the one who called me Yao Er. It's fine if I just let him call me Yao Er when we were in a dangerous situation just now. Now that I've regained my strength, he still calls me Yao Er. Fine. We're going to part ways soon. Most likely, we won't see each other again. I'll just let him take advantage of me verbally. I promise to give you a trace of the power of the Black Star. I can give it to you now. Ningfan kept his smile and clenched his 5 fingers. Traces of black starlight flowed out of his palm and condensed into a palm-sized pitch-black crystal that was emitting faint starlight. Is this enough? So much. Yuve successfully comprehended the black star technique of the Celestial Emperor. Yuan Yao's eyes were filled with astonishment. This palm-sized pitch-black crystal contained at least 1,000 traces of black star power. With so much star power at his fingertips, it naturally meant that he had successfully condensed his natal star and gained a preliminary understanding of the black star technique. That secret technique was something that even Yuan Yao would be tempted by. However, Ningfan had coincidentally comprehended it. You don't want it? Then forget it. Ningfan deliberately asked. I want. Yuan Yao reached out her hand and took the pitch-black crystal. She did not know that Ningfan had actually taken advantage of her verbally when she said, I want it. When she took the crystal, Ningfan seemed to have touched her wrist on purpose. Yuan Yao glanced at Ningfan speechlessly. She had a feeling that if she stayed with Ningfan for another half a month, she would really be pushed down by him for the 3rd time and completely fall for him. However, when she thought of obtaining the crystal and being able to kill the red dragon for Bei Xiaoman, as her mother, she was very happy. Thank you. If you ascend to the northern heaven in the future, I will secretly repay you. Yuan Yao said seriously. How? Ningfan's eyes flashed. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Yuan Yao avoided this topic. She seemed to have thought of something. After hesitating for a while, she still asked. Are you really unwilling to give up on the yin-yang devil vein? I can give you better fiend god cultivation methods. You've asked me many times. Ningfan shook his head. Is that so? You're a member of the Rain World. If you want to ascend to the upper world, there are only 2 ways. Firstly, you can cultivate to the peak void fragmentation realm and break through the void to ascend to the northern heaven. Secondly, you can cultivate to the divine transformation realm and obtain the quota given by the 4 great forces of the upper world to ascend to the upper world. You can choose to ascend to the upper world when you reach the divine transformation realm. Of course, the earlier you ascend to the upper world, the better. However, with the quota, there won't be any danger when you ascend to the upper world. You want to give me the quota? Ningfan's eyelids twitched. No, not mine. My daughter, no younger sister. Her name is Bei Xiaoman. She's in a branch palace of the Lost World Palace in the Rain World. I think it's a place called the Endless Sea. When I return to the northern heaven this time, I will try to remind her. When you want to ascend to the upper world in the future, you can tell her that you're Liu Bei. She will help you prepare the passage to the upper world. If that's the case, I will consider it. Ningfan did not know whether to laugh or cry. Inwardly, he thought to himself, based on the grudge between me and Bei Xiaoman, that little girl would most likely do something to destroy the passage to the upper world and make me die in the teleportation. Yuan Yao was willing to give the quota, but Ningfan did not dare to take it. Besides, Ningfan did not plan to ascend to the upper world after attaining the divine transformation realm. At least, he would not consider such a thing before eliminating Moksha, sovereign of the devil world. Even though we won't meet again, I still sincerely wish you a bright future. Yuan Yao gently broke the seal on her forehead. All of a sudden, her aura force returned to the void-shedding realm. She had to leave in the end. She and Ningfan were just not fated to be together. It was just the helplessness of, when I was born, you were not born. When you were born, I was already old. Sister Bei Yao, are you leaving? Bei Yao. All the women looked at Yuan Yao. Their gazes swept away her gloomy mood and she smiled. What an interesting memory. My cultivation base is at the void-shedding realm. How could I become sisters with a group of divine transformation realm juniors? Besides, there are also members of a different race among them. If we are fated to meet again, perhaps we will meet again. Yuan Yao sighed inwardly. She had already forgotten about her feelings, but she still had feelings for him. She changed her hand seals, and a vast amount of magic power surged. A gigantic world gate appeared out of thin air. Yuan Yao gritted her teeth and stepped into it, leaving the place. Unexpectedly, Her feelings during the journey had loosened the bottleneck in her cultivation base. The Taishang Wangqing was not emotionless. She had been emotionless all the way, but she fell in love with him in the Star Palace. Perhaps her strength would increase a lot. This was a story for later. Wu Yan and Yu Lingkong sighed. Shi Ran, on the other hand, felt a lump in her throat again. Sister Bei Yao has left. Silly girl. When there is a gathering, there will be a parting. I can only blame myself for being in the wind. It's not up to me to gather and part. Wu Yan did not know what to say to Shi Ran. She gently raised her head and looked at Ning Fan. For a moment, she was speechless. After a long time, she finally mustered up her courage and said indifferently, Liu Bei, we have to return to the second world first to hand over some things to Liu Daochen. After that, we will return to the Spirit King Palace. After that, the Spirit King will probably give the order to move the entire second world to the land of demon spirit in the upper world using a secret technique. After all, there is nothing wrong with the ancient demon race that is in hibernation in the second world to ascend again. Is that so? Then I will have to trouble you to take care of Wan Er and Luo Yun in the future. Aren't you going to return to the second world with us? Sister Wan Er might want to see you too. Shi Ran really could call anyone her sister. She was born to be someone's younger sister. No. Even if I go back, I will leave immediately. I just want Wan Er to feel the sadness of parting again. Perhaps there will be a day when there is no longer a sea of blood in front of me and my enemies are chasing after me. At that time, I will be able to let go of everything and look for you guys. Then, I will live a peaceful but warm life as a mortal. What Wan Er is looking forward to seeing is the me who has let go of everything. She is waiting. I am also waiting. There will be such a day. Ning Fan's eyes revealed a hint of longing. Mortals usually yearn for a hot-blooded and legendary life. When they live a peaceful life, cultivators fight against the heavens, against people and against fate. When they reach the end of their cultivation, they would usually be exhausted and yearn for a peaceful life. However, even though their hearts could be exhausted, their footsteps could not stop. If they stop, they would be trampled on by other cultivators as if they were walking on the road. This was a path that could not be turned back. Yen Er, Ran Er, I don't have anything good to give you. Here are 2 pieces of sword crystals. Hold on to them, and activate a Void Refinement Realm attack. Even a peak Divine Transformation Realm cultivator would die. As for half-step Void Refinement Realm cultivators, they would also need to run away. Ning Fan took out the 2 pieces of sword crystals. Of course, they were taken from Zichuan. Isn't this too valuable? Even with Wu Yan's status as a demon concubine, it was impossible for her to get such a sword crystal. Her innate talent was not bad, but she was not valued in the family. Is this a gift? Shi Ran's eyes flickered and a smile bloomed on her face. She was the little princess of the family. Naturally, she did not lack any defensive items. However, she still treated this sword crystal as a precious treasure because it was given to her by Ning Fan. This gift is almost equivalent to 50 million immortal jade. Big brother Liu Bei, you still owe me 900 million immortal jade. The next time I see you, I will definitely ask you for it. Oh right. She still could not forget the 1 billion immortal jade that Ning Fan had taken away from her. However, she suddenly thought of something. Shi Ran, who was always a talkative person, actually felt a little uneasy. Sister Wu Yan, I will secretly give something to big brother Liu Bei. Can you just pretend that you didn't see it and don't tell anyone? Shi Ran pleaded to Wu Yan. All right. But what is it that you want to give to Liu Bei? Why are you being so mysterious? Shi Ran's uneasy expression made Ning Fan feel a little amused. It's a jade slip. A jade slip. Shi Ran took out an exquisitely wrapped jade slip from her storage pouch and passed it to Ning Fan. Her face immediately blushed. This is. Ning Fan tore open the packaging in an extremely rough manner and tapped the jade slip. Immediately, a soft and delicate voice sounded from the jade slip. Big brother Liu Bei, Shi Ran likes you very much. I like you very much. You are Shi Ran's great hero. This is the jade slip that Shi Ran secretly imprinted. It records the secret pill concoction technique of our profound medicine clan, the remnant scroll of the 3 pure ones. You must learn it well. When you become a great pill concoction master in the future, Father will certainly not object to our marriage. Pa Shiran's little face was filled with anger and embarrassment. She tapped the jade slip with her finger and turned off the voice of the jade slip. Then she looked at Ningfan angrily. Idiot. This is not something that can be opened in front of others. Shiran really wanted to find a hole and hide in it. This was the jade slip that she secretly made along the way. It secretly imprinted all the secret pill concoction techniques of the profound medicine clan. Of course, it would be fine if that was all. However, there were also a lot of mushy words of love that Shiran had always wanted to say to Ningfan, but did not dare to. Idiot. Big idiot. Shiran stomped her feet in embarrassment. On the other side, when Yu Lingkong heard the mushy words in Shiran's jade slip, she laughed so hard that her little body and waist were bent. She deliberately imitated Shiran's tone and said pretentiously, Big brother Liu Bei, Shiran likes you very much. I like you very much. You are Shiran's great hero. You are not allowed to learn it. While the two girls were arguing, Wu Yan's eyes were filled with surprise. The same expression also appeared in Ningfan's eyes. This is the secret pill concoction technique of the profound medicine clan? You gave this technique to Liu Bei. If this matter spreads out, with how overbearing your profound medicine clan is, they will certainly send out many true immortals to hunt down Liu Bei. You are harming him. Wu Yan said nervously. If you don't say it, I won't say it. Big brother Liu Bei won't say it. Big sister Yu Er won't say it. And Wei Liang definitely won't say it either. Who will know? Shiran disagreed. She did not think that what she did was inappropriate at all. You are really. What should I say about you? Wu Yan sighed softly. She could understand Shiran's feelings. If she had the status of a princess in the clan and could obtain some profound secret techniques of the clan which could help Ningfan, she would also be willing to take the risk and give it to Ningfan. Big brother Liu Bei, if you don't want it, give it back to me. Shiran reached out her hand and tried to take it back, but Ningfan hugged her tightly. I want it. Why don't I want it? It's a good thing. It was indeed a good thing. The Tao of Formation was divided into 9 factions. However, there were only 2 factions in the Tao of Pills. The 9 Revolutions pill refinement technique that Great Emperor Ancient Chaos had passed down was incomplete. Even though the 3 Purities pill condensation technique that Shiran gave him was also incomplete, it was much more profound than Ningfan's current pill concoction technique. With these and Ningfan's innate talent, he would certainly be able to achieve great things in the Tao of Pills as long as he puts in some hard work and studies them carefully. With the help of a virtuous wife, one can defeat 1,000,000 mighty soldiers. Ningfan finally experienced this saying in the mortal world. Of course, in order to win the hearts of his virtuous wives, he would have to face a life and death crisis. The process was very difficult, but the result was satisfactory. That was enough. Then Big Brother Liu Bei, Sister Wu Yan and I will be leaving now. You are not allowed to not miss me. After you return, be careful in everything you do. Ningfan reminded them. Wu Yan and Shiran looked at Ningfan deeply. After a long time, they each took out their formation discs and activated the formation light. An instant later, their figures gradually faded. They had returned to the second world. Liu Bei, goodbye. Looking at the sky where the 2 women left, Ningfan raised his head and sighed emotionally. Go back home. The female corpse gently pulled Ningfan's sleeve. She could see that Ningfan was a little emotional. Go home. After leaving the external endless sea for more than 20 years, Su Qiuling's injuries might have already flared up. Let's go and treat this woman first. Little cucumber, you have so many beauties. Don't you feel tired? Yu Lingkong criticized him in her mind. No matter how tired I am, it's still better than being alone. Ningfan's words made Yu Lingkong fall into silence. Ningfan's path was bumpy, but he was not lonely. As for Yu Lingkong, even though she was the female tyrant of the internal sea in the past, she never had a close friend. In the end, she even suffered a backlash from her second primordial spirit, and was betrayed by her disciples. When are we going to the Divine Space Island? Yu Lingkong recalled some unhappy memories and asked with a frown. We will go. Ningfan took out a formation disc. It was not to return to the second world, but to the external endless sea, the star palace of the second world in the secret realm of the broken world. Before he entered the broken world, he was a nascent soul realm cultivator. When he returned to the external endless sea, he was a divine transformation realm cultivator, who was almost standing at the peak of the divine transformation realm. The journey was filled with hardships and losses. The golden flame chariot was half destroyed, and the two mid-divine transformation realm spiritual puppets were either injured or killed. However, what he gained was much more. Formation techniques, pill refinement techniques, the inlaid star plate, the black star technique, the Fuli ancestral blood, the initial form of the Emperor's shadow, two void refinement realm spiritual puppets, an immortal painting magic treasure. There were gains and losses. Ningfan did not suffer any losses. Let's go. Ningfan activated the formation disc, and the three of them slowly disappeared from the Cloud Palace. The moment they left, the Cloud Palace disappeared along with the Sea of Stars. No one knew where they went. 20 years had passed. The external endless sea was still filled with dangers and opportunities. Every year, many cultivators would come from afar. Some of them were here to train in the endless sea, while some were here to cultivate in the Lost World Palace. During these 20 years, many forces in the external endless sea were destroyed and many more forces were established. Among them, the largest assassin organization was established on the Ing Province Immortal Island. It was called the Alliance of Bright Assassins. 20 years later, the secret realm of the Broken World was destroyed. The entrance to the Broken World in the Pleasure Devil Sea had already collapsed. Only the first position on the killing steel of Ningfan's name was engraved with a ferocious name with terrifying baleful qi. Zhou. Originally, one could only enter the secret realm of the Broken World for 6 months. However, Ningfan had been there for 20 years. Most of the experts of the Endless Sea who were waiting outside had lost interest in waiting, and had already left. No one would wait here for 20 years just to see Ningfan's return. Only a woman named Su Qiuling waited here every day. However, during the past 3 years, her injuries began to act up and her physical strength was exhausted. Thus, she could no longer wait for Ningfan under the sea. This place was already empty. Even the formation that isolated the sea had lost its spirituality. Those who occasionally passed by this place were only cultivators who were searching for treasures in the illusory Devil Sea. In the deep sea, 2 cultivators, one old and one young, were mining for spiritual ores. The Pleasure Devil Sea was rich in spiritual ores. The deeper the sea, the more precious the ores were. Ores were good things. They could be used to forge magic treasures and weapons, forge spiritual iron, and set up formations to make puppets. A piece of precious spiritual ore was equivalent to all the expenses of a gold core realm old monster's 100 years of cultivation. The 2 of them were searching for spiritual ores in the deep sea. The old man wore a red robe and had a terrifying late gold core realm cultivation base. He seemed to be a rogue cultivator. As for the young one, he was a young man with rosy lips and white teeth. His aptitude seemed to be quite good. He seemed to have just broken through to the harmonious spirit realm. His cultivation base had not stabilized yet. The 2 of them were a pair of master and disciple. Perhaps the reason why the old man brought the young man into the sea was not only to search for ores, but also to let the young man gain experience in the sea of blood and stabilize his cultivation base. Master, my cultivation base is still weak. I'm just a harmonious spirit realm cultivator. Isn't it a little too early for me to gain experience in the sea? The young man was a little afraid. His words immediately aroused the dissatisfaction of the old man. Humph! How can you go far on the path of cultivation if you are so timid? So what if you are a harmonious spirit realm cultivator? Did you know that 20 years ago, there was a shocking figure in the Endless Sea? He went to the external Endless Sea with a harmonious spirit realm cultivation base, and fought against thousands of mermen alone. He survived the pursuit of the Demon Sealing sect and entered seclusion in the Lost World Palace of Penglai. 10 years later he broke through to the nascent soul realm, and killed the Demon Sealing sect's Eagle Crane Elder. After that, he stirred up a storm in the external Endless Sea with his nascent soul realm cultivation base. He even dared to face a divine transformation realm old ancestor head-on. This person killed the geniuses of the 10 sects and 3 islands as if it was child's play, but the old ancestors of the 10 sects did not dare to be angry with him. This person has been in the secret realm of the broken world for 20 years, but his name is getting redder and redder. It's obvious that not only did he not die, he even went somewhere and created a monstrous killing intent. Even though this person has been gone for 20 years, the older generation experts in the external endless sea are still terrified when they hear his name. He climbed to the peak from the harmonious spirit realm step by step. The old man's reprimand made the young man blush, but he still talked back in a low voice. Master must be making things up. This disciple doesn't believe that there is a harmonious spirit realm cultivator who can move unhindered in the external endless sea. Who is this person? Can Master say his name? His name? He is that Mo Xiao whom you admire the most. His name is so famous that countless forces in the external endless sea secretly formed the Alliance of Light Assassins. He is Zhou Ming. What? Master said venerated old ancestor Ming? Venerated old ancestor Ming swept across the external endless sea when he was just a harmonious spirit realm cultivator. The young man didn't believe that there was a harmonious spirit realm cultivator who could move unhindered in the external endless sea, but when he heard the name Zhou Ming, he believed it completely. His eyes were filled with passion and admiration. The person he admired the most was Zhou Ming. However, how did Master know that venerated Ming was only a harmonious spirit realm cultivator when he escaped from the demon sealing sect? Rumor has it that venerated Ming was only a nascent soul realm cultivator when he entered the external endless sea. The young man was puzzled. How could I not know? That day, venerated Ming and I entered the external endless sea on the same heaven-evading ship. At that time, the heaven-evading ship that I was on received the distress signal from the other ships. At that moment, venerated Ming was standing beside me. Due to the confusion in his heart, he revealed a trace of his cultivation base. There's no mistake about it. I was the only one who felt it. Other than me, no one else knew that venerated Ming could fight against a nascent soul realm cultivator at the harmonious spirit realm. Cough. Cough. It's all in the past. Let's not talk about it anymore. When the old man recalled the past, he couldn't help but feel ashamed. At that time, he and Ning Fan were on the same ship when they entered the external endless sea. He was an intermediate gold core realm cultivator, while Ning Fan was a harmonious spirit realm cultivator. Dozens of years later, the old man finally advanced to the late gold core realm. On the other hand, Ning Fan was already a nascent soul realm old ancestor. He was an expert that even spirit-severing realm old monsters were afraid of. He was the person whom the Alliance of Light Assassins wanted to kill the most. Compared to Ning Fan, the old man felt that he had wasted his entire life's worth of cultivation. Master! Master! The young man suddenly stopped and interrupted the old man's thoughts. He pointed at a direction with a joyful look on his face. What's the matter? Can't you see that I'm reminiscing about the past? The old man was displeased. However, when he looked at the direction where the young man was pointing at, he was immediately surprised. Then his face was filled with joy. Beside the reef at the bottom of the sea in front of them, there was a piece of dark red fire crystal Oregon. It was at least the size of a palm. It's a fire crystal ore. And it's so big. Master, this fire crystal ore can be sold for at least 100,000 immortal jades. The young man said excitedly. 100,000 immortal jades was a huge fortune to him and the old man. He immediately leaped to the bottom of the sea and wanted to dig out the ore. However, he was stopped by the old man. Wait a minute. Something is not right. The location of this fire crystal ore isn't hidden at all. It's so obvious, but it has never been taken away by anyone. Instead, it's my turn to take it away. This doesn't make sense. I'm afraid there's some kind of danger hidden in this place. The old man squinted his eyes. His many years of life and death experience told him that there was something hidden in this place. When his eyes swept across a huge reef, he was shocked as if he had seen something unbelievable. He immediately pulled his disciple and retreated with all his might. Run quickly. This is not a reef. This is a reef beast. Just as the old man was retreating, all the reefs in the sea within 6,000 zhang radius began to shake. The entire ground suddenly rose up. Under the sea of sand, there was actually a 6,000 zhang huge ferocious beast hibernating. All the reefs and the fire crystal, or were growing on its back. Roar! The ferocious beast let out a roar, and emitted the aura of a mid-nascent soul realm expert. Under this aura, the old man was terrified. He felt a sharp pain in his chest. The young man was almost scared to death. A nascent soul realm ferocious beast. Moreover, it's a mid-nascent soul realm expert. We're finished. We're going to die. At the moment when the old man and the young man were in despair, starlight suddenly appeared in the deep sea and formed a 10,000 zhang vortex. In that vortex, thunderous sounds could be heard from time to time. A young man in a white robe and a black cloak walked out of the vortex. Without any warning, a violent tsunami immediately appeared in the sea within 100,000 li radius. Countless dormant ferocious beasts prostrated themselves on the ground at the same time and trembled. As for the previously arrogant reef beast, when it saw the young man, its eyes widened and its body trembled. Terrifying, too terrifying. This ferocious beast felt an undefeatable danger from the young man. Roar! The reef beast let out a roar that sounded like it was submitting to the young man. Then, it fled without any regard for its life. The old man was stunned. The young man was even more so. Where did this young man who appeared out of nowhere come from? What is his cultivation base? With just a trace of his aura, he was able to make a mid-nascent soul realm sea beast flee for its life. Greetings, senior. The old man did not dare to be negligent. He immediately clasped his fist and bowed. No matter who this young man was, he was definitely not someone that the old man could afford to offend. Furthermore, the old man did not even dare to look at the young man's face for fear that he would commit some taboo. In his life, he had never seen such a powerful expert. Chapter 344. Greetings, senior. The old man had slaughtered his entire life and was used to seeing life and death, but in front of the young man before him, his words were actually trembling and he was terrified. Just a wisp of this young man's aura made the old man feel like he was suffocating. That aura contained more than 10 million gold core blood seas. The heavy murderous aura caused the gold core in the old man's Dantian region to shatter. He could not imagine that such an expert actually existed in this world. Although the old man could not see the young man's face clearly, he vaguely felt that the aura was somewhat familiar, as if he had seen it somewhere before. The trace of doubt in the old man's eyes did not escape the young man's detection. He took a step forward and dispersed his aura. His gaze swept past the old man and the young man. Immediately, the old man felt like he had been completely seen through. You recognize me? The young man was slightly surprised. He noticed a slight fluctuation in the old man's eyes. This young man was none other than Ning Fan. When he was in the Luoyun tribe, he changed his name to Liu Bei. After returning to the tribe, he continued to use the name Zhou Ming. No, I don't dare. How could I be acquainted with Senior Zhou? From Ning Fan's voice, the old man was even more certain that the person in front of him was Zhou Ming, who had traveled together with him on the heaven-evading ship. In a moment of panic, he accidentally called out Senior Zhou. In an instant, the old man's expression changed drastically. He wanted to slap himself a few times. How stupid! This person was definitely the invincible fiendish devil Zhou Ming. He had disappeared for 20 years and had suddenly reappeared. He definitely didn't want anyone to know. If he accidentally let his tongue slip and recognized Zhou Ming's identity, Zhou Ming might just kill him to silence him. Are you an old friend? I also feel that your aura is somewhat familiar. And, I remember now. I met you on the heaven-evading boat. Ning Fan muttered to himself. He seemed to have recalled that there was indeed such an old man on the heaven-evading ship in the past. Although he was infamous, he was not a person who would kill indiscriminately, and it was even more impossible for him to silence others just because they recognized him. Although he didn't have the intention to kill, his infamous reputation from 20 years ago still lingered in the outer endless sea. Of course, the elderly man was afraid of Ning Fan. I'm ashamed. Junior Sun Bai indeed had the fortune to meet Senior on the heaven-evading ship that year. The elderly man felt slightly relieved. Based on his impression of Ning Fan would never waste his breath on killing people. Since Ning Fan had asked him a question, the elderly man would certainly not die. Sun Bai, huh? I have something to ask you. If you can satisfy me, I will naturally reward you. Ning Fan's tone was extremely indifferent. However, the elderly man immediately became terrified. If revered Ming has any questions, please feel free to ask. I will definitely tell you everything I know. How would I dare to ask for a reward? What a joke. I'm already lucky to be able to stay alive from Ning Fan's hands. Why do I still need a reward? Sun Bai didn't even dare to think about it. I wonder what venerated Ming wants to ask. Sun Bai was a little uneasy. He was afraid that his answer would displease Ning Fan. Do you know when I will enter the Broken World's secret domain? Junior understands. How long has it been since I left? What happened in the Endless Sea? Replying to predecessor, it has been 21 years and 9 months since you left the Endless Sea. As for the big events in the Endless Sea, I haven't cultivated in seclusion for years, so I know more or less. It's just that there are too many things that I know. If I were to say them one by one, it would inevitably delay Senior's time. Please allow this Junior to imprint the memory in the Jade Slip for Senior's reference. Of course, if Senior insists on letting this Junior narrate, this Junior is also very willing. There's no need for that. It's better to imprint the memory in the Jade Slip. It has been 21 years, huh? I suppose a lot of big events must have happened. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with worry. There were 2 forces in the Endless Sea that he was most concerned about. One of them was the Pleasure Devil Island where Su Qiuling was, and the other was the Green Jade Immortal Island that In Suqiu joined. And there seems to be another one. Ning Fan was also a little concerned about Bei Xiaoman's safety. Yes. Since Senior has given the order, this Junior will immediately imprint the memory in the Jade Slip. Sun Bai did not dare to be negligent. He immediately patted his storage pouch and took out a Jade Slip. He carefully recalled the memories of the past 20 years and imprinted them into the Jade Slip one by one. The memory of a cultivator was already far beyond that of a mortal. They could almost never forget anything they saw. Besides, Ning Fan only asked about the big events. Thus, imprinting these memories was just a trivial matter to Sun Bai. In just the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, he had imprinted all the trivial matters. Then Ning Fan flicked his sleeve, and the Jade Slip in Sun Bai's hand disappeared into thin air. In an instant, it appeared in Ning Fan's hand. Sun Bai had never seen such a technique in his life. He was extremely shocked. This was not the technique of a nascent soul realm cultivator at all. It seemed like he had borrowed the power of teleportation. Venerated Ming has broken through to the divine transformation realm. But 20 years ago, he had just formed his nascent soul. How did he achieve the divine transformation realm after 20 years? Ning Fan did not know that Sun Bai was shocked. He scanned the Jade Slip with his spirit sense and found out that it contained the things he wanted to know. He nodded his head in satisfaction. Then he patted his storage pouch and took out a bottle of pills. He tossed it to Sun Bai as a reward. Then he took a step forward. With a flash of purple smoke, he disappeared without a trace. What a fast speed. This is Venerated Ming. I actually saw Venerated Ming himself. After Ning Fan left, the young man at the side finally regained his breath from the heavy pressure. His eyes were filled with excitement. As for Sun Bai, he was astonished once again. Teleportation. It really is teleportation. He has returned. He has achieved the divine transformation realm. 20 years. He used 20 years to achieve the divine transformation realm. The astonishment in his heart had reached its peak. However, when Sun Bai lowered his head, his expression changed greatly again. This is a nascent transformation pill. The pill that Venerated Ming gave me is actually a 4th transformation nascent transformation pill. Sun Bai's eyes were filled with excitement. He immediately kept the pill bottle like it was a treasure and cupped his fists in the direction where Ning Fan had left. Thank you for your generous gift, Venerated Ming. Today, the 2 of them were searching for ores in the deep sea. First, they were ambushed by the reef beasts. Then they saw Ning Fan's return. Even though it was more daunting than dangerous, they no longer had the mood to search for oars. The two of them sighed with emotion. Then, they immediately turned into rays of traveling light and left the sea region. As for announcing their encounter with Ning Fan, they did not dare to do so at all. An old friend, huh? 10,000 li away, Ning Fan was standing in the deep sea. The seawater was separated in a strange way. No sea beast dared to come close to him. Ning Fan did not have much of an impression of Sun Bai at all. However, the word old friend touched his heart. As for the nascent transformation pill that he gave to Sun Bai, it was just one of the countless pills that he had obtained from killing others along the way. It was not worth mentioning at all. A single nascent transformation pill was enough to cause a bloodbath in Yu country in the past. To the current Ning Fan, a single nascent transformation pill was just an item of little value. Perhaps the next time I see Bei Yao and the other girls, they will just be my old friends. Holding the crystal-clear Gu King token in his hand, Ning Fan recalled the scenes that happened in the Star Palace. The Gu King token had been kept and the beauties had gone far away. Ning Fan then returned to the external endless sea. He no longer disguised himself as Liu Bei. Instead, he removed his disguise and turned back into Zhou Ming. The female corpse and Yu Lingkong also temporarily went back into the cauldron ring to rest. The two of them had exhausted a lot of their strength while fleeing from the pursuit of the realm beast. They had also sustained some injuries. It was time for them to rest and recuperate. Endless Sea, I Ning Fan am back. Ning Fan's eyes flashed. He pressed the jade slip that Sun Bai gave him to his glabella, and closed his eyes to carefully browse through the changes that had taken place in the past 20 years. The memories played in front of his eyes. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Ning Fan opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with coldness and he continued browsing. Alliance of Ming Assassins. The divine transformation realm old ancestor of the Yingzhou Immortal Island secretly colluded with the divine transformation realm experts in the internal sea to establish an assassin organization. Just to assassinate me, huh? Ning Fan's eyes were filled with disdain. This mere alliance of Ming assassins was not worthy of his attention at all. Divine Transformation Realm Old Ancestor, huh? Ning Fan had lost count of how many early Divine Transformation Realm experts he had eaten in the external Endless Sea. Compared to dealing with the alliance of Ming assassins, Ning Fan was more concerned about the Pleasure Devil Immortal Island. It was not because of that Mother Earth's heart, but because of Su Qiuling's injuries. When he entered the secret realm of the broken world that day, he deduced that Su Qiuling had 30 years to live. Now that 20 years had passed, Su Qiuling's injuries had already begun to act up. In another 10 years she would certainly die. Fortunately, Ning Fan had already returned. Moreover, he had the Black Star healing technique that could heal living people. Basically, there was no injury that Ning Fan could not heal for cultivators below the Void Refinement realm. With him around, not only would Su Qiuling not die, but her cultivation base would also improve tremendously with the help of her injuries. Before entering the broken world, Ning Fan could only heal Su Qiuling's injuries. Now he could even help her cultivation base improve rapidly. When he browsed through the jade slip again, there were only two things that made Ning Fan's expression change. One of them was the information about the Lost World Palace of the Prunglai Immortal Island. The Tower Lord of the Southern Tower, Bei Xiaoman, had almost succeeded in her seclusion to attain the Divine Transformation Realm. The other information was about the Green Jade Immortal Island. 3 years ago, the Mid-Divine Transformation Realm Old Ancestor, who had been hiding in the Green Jade Immortal Island all this while had returned to the Void. Returning to the Void was when a cultivator died at the end of their lifespan. Ning Fan once speculated that the reason why no devil cultivators from the external Endless Sea dared to lay their hands on the female cultivators of the Green Jade Immortal Island must be because this sect had a great hidden strength. The information confirmed Ning Fan's speculation. The Green Jade Immortal Island had always been guarded by two Divine Transformation Realm experts. One of them was in the dark while the other was in the light. The one in the light was an old lady whom Ning Fan had met half a time ago. The one in the dark was a senior Divine Transformation Realm expert. As soon as this senior Divine Transformation Realm expert died, The Green Jade Immortal Island did not have any new Divine Transformation Realm experts to replace her. It was already a little insufficient to guard the Green Jade Immortal Island, with just one Divine Transformation Realm expert. The female cultivators of the sect were all great human cauldrons. Countless devil cultivators were staring at the Green Jade Immortal sect with saliva dripping from their mouths. There were even a few devil cultivators who had abducted more than 10 female cultivators of the sect. In the past 3 years, the Alliance of Ming Assassins had also begun to suppress the Green Jade Immortal sect. The reason was because there was a rumor that the vice-sect lord of the sect, Yin Suqiu, was Zhou Ming's woman. Yin Suqiu had successfully formed her nascent soul, and even obtained the inheritance of the ruins of En's old ancestor from the Baiyao sect. Her cultivation base was almost at the peak of the nascent soul realm, and she was only half a step away from the spirit transformation realm. The rise of Yin Suqiu's status in the Baiyao sect naturally aroused the jealousy of a certain female cultivator. Thus, her relationship with Ning Fan was exposed. Once this was exposed, it would be disastrous. The Alliance of Ming Assassins had already decided to kill Yin Suqiu. Fortunately, Yin Suqiu had never left the sect, and had been cultivating in seclusion. Hence, no one had the chance to attack her. The coldness in Ning Fan's eyes intensified. Putting aside Yin Suqiu, the actions of the Ming Assassin Alliance had angered Ning Fan. Suqiu is currently in seclusion. She's fine for the time being. Humph. I'll save Qiuling first. After that, I must personally see what gives the Alliance of Ming Assassins the right to covet my woman. Ning Fan shook his body. In just a flash of purple smoke, he had already completely vanished from sight, and drifted towards the Pleasure Devil Immortal Island. It seemed like he had to do some things as soon as he returned. If the outer seas were not stained with blood, some people would not learn to be obedient. On the Black Tortoise Star in the northern Heaven Void world, a cold lady who was standing on a purple crystal sword was flying towards the Sea of Clouds. The Void world was the medium-sized world where the Tablet Master Immortal Emperor lived. The lady who was standing on the sword was wearing a small robe. Her soft shoes gave off a fragrant scent. Her body was surrounded by colorful sword chi. She was none other than the beloved disciple of the Tablet Master Immortal Emperor, Bailey. Bailey had just come out from her seclusion, and she hurried to the Sea of Clouds to help someone attain the spirit-severing realm. With her identity, she would not personally help someone to attain the spirit-severing realm, unless she met an expert who could pry into their luck. Previously, she went to the Sea of Clouds to help Ning Fan. This time, it was to help her younger sister. Her fourth sister, Bei Xiaoman, was about to succeed in her mortal severing today. She would leave her name on the Dao Steel, and become a spirit-severing realm cultivator. Xiaoman has finally attained the spirit-severing realm. If that's the case, she should return to the Northern Heaven soon. Bailey muttered to herself as if she was worried about something. 1 hour later, they arrived at the bottom of the 3 Dao Steels in the Sea of Clouds. Below the Dao Steels, I Ching was sitting on pins and needles. He was sighing while confronting a lady in red robes. The lady in red robes held a red whip in her hand. Her small face was delicate and pretty, but her eyes were cold. She stopped I Ching and insisted on sparring with him. She was the 4th mistress of the Lost World Palace, Bei Xiaoman. Bei Xiaoman saw that I Ching had some skills and wanted to spar with him. However, how would I Ching dare to fight her? She was the 4th mistress of the Lost World Palace. If she gets hurt, it would be troublesome. As soon as he saw Bailey, I Ching hurriedly retreated as if he had just been pardoned. Bailey sighed softly and frowned when she saw him. Then she said indifferently, "Xiaoman, you're messing around again. You have just attained the spirit-severing realm, and your cultivation base has yet to stabilize. How can you spar with someone? Junior brother I Ching did not fight with you because he was afraid that you would get hurt. Humph. All of you are looking down on me. If it wasn't because of my physique and my young age, I wouldn't have just attained the spirit-severing realm. Besides, I can't blame I Ching for being too arrogant when I quarreled with him. In the 3 stages of the mortal severing realm, every time I passed a stage, he would nag at me once. He would talk about how amazing a person called Ning Fan was in the past and what kind of results he achieved in passing the stages. How annoying. Silly girl. That young Master Ning is really amazing. Junior brother I Ching admires young Master Ning from the bottom of his heart. He didn't mean to provoke you. Bei Li's eyes were filled with reminiscence as if she was recalling a young man. Young Master Ning. Sister Li feels a little strange. Didn't you always look down on men? Why are you so polite to that Ning fan? And even addressed him as young Master Ning. Bei Xiaoman placed her hands behind her back. Her red feet were gently tapping on the ground as she looked at Bei Li with great interest. Her eyes were filled with smiles. Sister, could it be that you've fallen in love with that young Master Ning? That won't do. No matter how strong he is just a person from the lower world. Pooh. Xiaoman, you didn't learn anything good in the lower world. You're getting bolder and bolder. I've only met young Master Ning once. How could I fall in love with him? Bei Li's face turned red and rolled her eyes at Bei Xiaoman. Of course, I know that Sister Li is a proud and arrogant person. It's impossible for you to fall in love with a cultivator from the lower world. Why are you so agitated? Besides, I know someone from the lower world. In terms of talent, he is not inferior to your young Master Ning. What do you mean by my young Master Ning? Who is the person you know? What's his cultivation base? Bei Li's interest was piqued. His name is Zhou Ming. He's a stinky brat who bullies me every day. However, he is really talented and powerful. He has gone missing for 20 years. I have no idea where he has gone to. Humph. He must have gone to fool around with that wild woman. I'm so angry. Bei Xiaoman's face was filled with anger. However, even if Zhou Ming had gone to fool around with that woman, what was there to be angry about? Didn't she dislike Zhou Ming? Silly sister. Bei Li seemed to have seen through Xiaoman's thoughts. She thought to herself, I'm afraid that my sister has taken a fancy to a cultivator from the lower domain. Is that person called Zhou Ming? What's Zhou Ming's bone age like? Does he have any special talents? With your standards, you shouldn't be interested in outstanding talents below the soul formation realm. And he is very powerful, definitely more powerful than your young Master Ning. His bone age is less than 400 years old, but his cultivation base is already at the late nascent soul realm. 20 years ago, when he went missing, he was at this cultivation base. Bei Xiaoman was a little disappointed. Bei Li shook her head and said, a nascent soul late stage at 400 years old? That's not bad. However, compared to young Master Ning, who reached the soul formation stage at 300 years old, he's still a little lacking. Who said that? Although that Zhou Ming is a late nascent soul realm cultivator, he has even killed a divine transformation realm cultivator before. Moreover, he is a 5th revolution pill refinement master. As soon as he finished speaking, Bei Xiaoman immediately became complacent. It was as if the 400 years old 5th revolution pill master was not Zhou Ming, but her. A 5th revolution pill master. In that case, this young Master Zhou is indeed very talented. Is he a genius of the Tao of alchemy? Bei Li pondered. You are not allowed to call him young Master Zhou. You don't even know him. You go and look for your Ning fan. Zhou Ming is mine. Bei Xiaoman was like a little kid, causing Bei Li to feel pity and a headache at the same time. It would be good if this sister of mine is more mature. He had only casually mentioned young Master Zhou, and this silly sister of his was already starting to get jealous. Has this silly sister fallen in love with that Zhou Ming? If that's the case, it will be troublesome. Xiaoman, you should know that you have an engagement with the Shiman clan. Speaking of which, where is your Yuan Yao jade? Don't tell me you gave it to Zhou Ming. Bei Li's beautiful eyes turned serious. This was a serious problem. The Yuan Yao jade is with the stone warrior for safekeeping. As for the Shiman clan, I won't marry them. Bei Xiaoman lied. Both the Yuan Yao jade and the stone warrior were lost. Silly sister, even if you don't marry into the Shiman clan, it's still impossible for you to be with that Zhou Ming. Bei Li wanted to persuade her again. Suddenly, a tyrannical void-shedding realm aura descended from the sea of clouds along with purple rays of light. Immediately, both of them revealed a surprised expression. Mother, why are you here? Naturally, I'm here to give you an item to help you slay the scarlet dragon. Within the rays of light, Yuan Yao took a step forward. She was like a fairy that had descended from the heavens and stood aloof from the world. There seemed to be some injuries on her body. However, before her two daughters could ask anything, Yuan Yao flicked her sleeve and took out a black crystal, handing it to Bei Xiaoman. Man-heir, after you return to the Rain World, refine this crystal, and you will definitely be able to slay the Scarlet Dragon. Then, you will no longer have to worry about the Gui Vein bloodthirst. You don't need to suppress the killing intent of the Gui Vein by killing people anymore. Thank you, Mother. Bei Xiaoman hugged Yuan Yao, feeling incomparably happy. She wanted to slay the Scarlet Dragon even in her dreams. Month after month, this was indeed a difficult task. By the way, what were you guys talking about just now? Yuan Yao asked casually. We were talking about which genius is more outstanding. I like Zhou Ming, but big sister likes Ning Fan. Bei Xiaoman stuck out her tongue and acted coquettishly to Yuan Yao. What do you mean I like Ning Fan? Bailey did not like to talk much. She did not have the strength to defend herself. The conversation between the two of them, however, made Yuan Yao sink into contemplation. Genius, huh? I'm afraid Ning Fan and Zhou Ming can't be compared to that person. Who can't be compared to? Bei Xiaoman was in the lower world while Bailey had just come out from her seclusion not long ago. Both of them did not know about a huge rumor in the northern heaven. Currently, almost all the geniuses in the northern heaven have been subdued by a young man. That person was born in the lower world, but he defeated Zichuan and killed Lin Su with just his divine transformation realm cultivation base. He fought against the realm beast alone and bathed the sea of stars in blood. His name is Liu Bei. I'm afraid he's the most outstanding person among the geniuses of this generation. Yuan Yao recalled the past, but she tried her best to hide her facial expression, pretending that she did not know Liu Bei. Strange? With mother's status, how could she praise a divine transformation realm cultivator from the lower world? Bei Xiaoman and Bailey found it hard to believe. However, the three of them did not know that the strongest genius that they were arguing about was actually the same person. That person had already quietly returned to the Endless Sea and was preparing to stir up a storm again. Chapter 345. It was impossible for her two daughters to see through Yuan Yao's thoughts. As soon as she returned to the northern heaven, she immediately rushed to the Cloud Sea to give Bei Xiaoman the Star Force crystal. Other than that, she still had other matters to attend to. Many geniuses of the northern heaven had died in his hands. Yuan Yao had to help him settle some small troubles. Xiaoman, I have something to tell you. You must remember it well. When you return to the Rain World this time, if Liu Bei looks for you and asks to ascend to the northern heaven world, you must do your best to help him. All right. Bei Xiaoman nodded. The Pleasure Devil Ocean was rich in mineral resources. Just like in the past, the magnetic field was chaotic and the sky was covered by black snow. Even if it was daytime, one's vision could not penetrate 100 zhong under the cover of the black snow. With the existence of the magnetic field, ordinary cultivators would not dare to simply spread out their spirit sense. Only a white-robed young man wearing a black feather cloak walked in the wind and snow with a calm expression. He spread his spirit sense very far away as if he was not afraid of the magnetic field at all. His spirit sense was at the half-step void refinement realm. His spirit sense was much stronger than that of early divine transformation realm cultivators like Su Rushan. Each of his steps felt like he was taking a stroll in a courtyard. However, after just one step, he would disappear without a trace. With such speed, he could be considered as one of the top existences in the entire Endless Sea. Ning Fan walked through the black snow and suddenly stopped outside the Pleasure Devil Immortal Island. His eyes flickered. In the wind and snow, the entire Pleasure Devil Immortal Island was on high alert. Tens of thousands of formation lights were activated on the entire floating island. There were also countless cultivators patrolling the island as if something had happened. Could it be that Qiuling's condition has worsened? I see. She's just seeking medical help. A group of 3rd and 4th Revolution pill masters can't cure her. Ning Fan shook his head and took a step forward. His body was surrounded by a golden-purple breeze which penetrated through countless layers of defensive formation lights and entered the island. None of them could stop him. His arrival was even more so unnoticed. At the peak of the Pleasure Devil Island, there was a floating mountain. It was called the Extreme Bliss Summit. It was transformed from the magic treasure of the island lord, Su Rushan. In the main hall of the mountain, there were dozens of pill refinement masters sitting on the guest seats. They were discussing Su Qiuling's condition. All of these people were famous alchemists in the outer endless sea, and there were even a few who came from the inner endless sea. Their expressions were even more arrogant. There were 4 people sitting on the main seats. The leader was naturally the Pleasure Devil Island master, Su Rushan. Beside him sat an old man in a linen robe. He had white hair and a youthful complexion. He was the cloud-treading sex deity transformation stage ancestor, Yen Zhongzi. There were 2 other people on the main seat. One of them was a woman in a light yellow robe. Her face was covered with a light veil, and her eyes were closed as she played the zither. The faint sound of the zither reverberated in the hall, but no one was listening. She didn't care either. This woman was none other than Su Qiuling. As for the last person on the main seat, it was a dirty old man dressed like a gardener. He was only in the nascent soul stage, and was eating pastries as if nobody else was around. He was ancestor Dongxiu, who had changed his name to Shuiyi. It was clear that Dong Su had already revealed his identity to Su Rushan, and received the highest level of treatment on the Pleasure Devil Island. However, his identity was not announced to the others. Ordinary people would not understand why a dirty gardener would be invited to such a solemn occasion. Other than the 4 of them, there was also a timid nascent soul realm cultivator, who was serving the gardener at the side. He was old ancestor Yulong, who was once subdued by Ning Fan, and left on the Pleasure Devil Island. Cough cough. Everyone, please don't argue. May I know the cause of my daughter's injuries and how can she be cured? Su Rushan let out 2 dry coughs and interrupted the discussion among the pill refinement masters. His face was filled with shame. It was because he only found out 3 years ago that his daughter was actually suffering from a strange illness that caused her to lack metal. As a father, he had failed in his duty. Everyone, please do your best to cure my daughter. If anyone has any requests, feel free to tell me. As long as it's something that I, Su Rushan, can do it without any hesitation. I will certainly satisfy all of you. Su Rushan's promise immediately made the eyes of many pill refinement masters in the main hall burn with passion. Among this batch of pill refinement masters, the least of them were peak 3rd revolution pill refinement masters. More than half of them were 4th revolution pill refinement masters. Among the half of the 4th revolution pill refinement masters, 5 of them were mid-4th revolution pill refinement masters, while the rest of them could not be identified. Those who would be tempted by some empty promises were mostly 3rd revolution pill refinement masters. Every 4th revolution pill master was a person who was steady and had a sense of propriety. They would not act recklessly unless they were offered some real benefits. Old Man Su has promised you benefits. Of course, all of you will be excited. However, I have to warn you first. If all of you can't cure my niece Qiuling, humph. Yen Zhongzi let out a cold snort. His terrifying early divine transformation realm aura swept across the main hall like a tornado. Then he slammed his palm on a few tables at the side. In an instant, the tables were shattered into pieces. The tremendous force of his palm spread to the ground of the main hall, causing the entire blissful summit to shake violently as if it was going to collapse. Hiss. This time, even the 4th revolution pill refinement masters were slightly shocked. The blissful summit was Su Rushan's natal magic treasure. It was a low-grade profound heavenly spiritual treasure. However, it was almost destroyed by Yen Zhongzi's palm strike. How strong was Yen Zhongzi's palm strike? If they did not give Su Rushan a satisfactory answer today, it might be a little troublesome. With the benefits promised by Su Rushan and the pressure exerted by Yen Zhongzi, the pill refinement masters finally calmed down. They stood up one by one and cupped their fists towards Su Rushan and Yen Zhongzi. I'm Wang Wei, a guest pill refinement master of the Wang clan in the external endless sea. My pill refinement mastery is at the peak of the 3rd revolution. I think that Miss Qiuling's illness is caused by her lungs. According to the medical records, autumn is related to metal and metal is related to the lungs. This is a disease of the 5 viscera, and is caused by the imbalance of magic power. I only need a third revolution pill to cure her illness. A green-robed young man took the lead and cupped his fists. However, other than the sentence that he quoted from the medical records, the rest of his words were pure bullshit. Even Su Russian, who did not know anything about medicine, shook his head in displeasure. If a third revolution pill could cure Su Qiuling, why would he, Su Russian, go through so much trouble to find a doctor? There were almost 100 third revolution pill refinement masters on Devil Pleasure Island. Was it not enough? Master Wang, you're wrong. An old man wearing a scholar robe stood up and shook his head. Humph. Who are you? I don't think you look familiar. You must be a low-grade pill refinement master. Wang Wei was displeased. I'm Yang Gu, an elder of the Pill Island of the Eternal Endless Sea. The old man smiled and shook his head. His calm tone immediately caused a commotion in the main hall. Hiss! Another wave of commotion spread in the main hall. This time, even Su Russian and Yan Zhong's expressions changed drastically. They stood up and cupped their fists towards the old man. So it's the famous Master Yang Gu of the Eternal Endless Sea. The 7 revered forces of the Eternal Endless Sea were Divine Space Island, Buzhou Clan, Giant Devil Clan, Sword Island, Heavenly Abode Island, Demon Ceiling Palace, and the last force was the Pill Island. Due to their expertise in pill refinement, and the fact that they sold high-grade pills to the experts of the Eternal Endless Sea, the status of the Pill Island could be said to be extraordinary. This Yang Gu was one of the 10 great pill refinement masters of the Pill Island. He had an early divine transformation realm cultivation base, and had been immersed in pill refinement for thousands of years. He was already half a step into the 5th revolution pill refinement realm. Even mid-divine transformation realm experts would have to treat a pill refinement master of this level politely. Su Russian and Yan Zhongzi did not dare to slight him. Of course, Yang Gu's words carried more weight than a mere third revolution Wang Wei. Junior has been rude. Please forgive me, Senior Yang. Wang Wei began to panic. He was afraid that he had offended Yang Gu with his rude words. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you offend me. However, this is a matter of the Tao of medicine. You must not treat it lightly. A single wrong step could cost someone's life. A single mistake could cost someone's life. You must remember this. Yang Gu's tone was gentle, and he had the demeanor of an elder. His words made Wang Wei feel ashamed. At the same time, it made many third revolution pill refinement masters feel ashamed. Many of them came here with the intention of trying their luck. They were not confident that they could cure Su Qiuling. They were just randomly prescribing pills to test their luck. This kind of thinking was the most unacceptable in the Tao of medicine. May I ask Grandmaster Yang if my daughter can still be saved? Su Russian rubbed his palms nervously. I'm sorry. I can only say that with my pill refinement mastery that has yet to reach the 5th revolution, I can't cure your daughter. I'm sure fellow Taoist Su has already guessed the reason. It's because your magnetism divine art is too tyrannical. When your daughter was still a fetus, all the metal qi in her body had been extracted. Yin and yang and the 5 elements are the laws of nature. None of them can be missing. Your daughter's life is short of metal, and she should have died early. However, because of the ancient sword fragment that was implanted in her body, her metal qi was temporarily replenished. However, this is only treating the symptoms and not the root cause. Yang Gu sighed helplessly. He looked rather ashamed. Even a 5th revolution pill refinement master can't cure your daughter. Only if I, Venerated Pill, can help her. Venerated Pill is a 6th revolution pill refinement master. Other than him, I'm afraid no one in the Endless Sea can save your daughter. However, Venerated Pill has already traveled around the world, and has yet to return. Your daughter's lifespan is less than 10 years. Yang Gu's words were like a bolt of lightning that struck Su Russian's heart. If it was someone else who said that Su Qiuling was incurable, Su Russian might doubt it. However, it was Yang Gu who personally said it. How could Su Russian not believe it? Even old ancestor Dong Su could only sigh in silence. Just like what Yang Gu had said, in old ancestor Dong Su's mind, there were only 2 people who could save Su Qiuling. One of them was the venerated pill that Yang Gu mentioned. This person had traveled for hundreds of years, and had yet to return. Otherwise, Dong Su would have already begged venerated Pill to save Su Qiuling. The other person who could save Su Qiuling was Ning Fan. However, Ning Fan had also gone missing. Su Qiuling acted as if she did not hear Yanggu's words at all. She was still immersed in the sound of her zither. She had long become indifferent to life and death. She had already prepared a flower grave, and would bury her in the flower field after her death. If she did not meet Ning Fan, Su Qiuling would not have any regrets about her death. Now, however, she was worried that she would not be able to see Ning Fan one last time before she dies. Yanggu's words carried too much weight. It was like a death sentence. No one dared to diagnose Su Qiuling's illness anymore. Each of the pill refinement masters shook their heads without saying a word. They also did not have any way to cure Su Qiuling. If they were to still be thick-skinned and prescribe medicine at this moment, it would be no different from slapping their own faces. Ling Er, don't worry. No one in the endless sea can save you. I will risk the world's condemnation and bring you to the 800 cultivation countries to look for a 6th revolution pill master in the Rain Palace to treat your illness. Dong Su suddenly stood up as if he had made up his mind. No one knew about Dong Su's cultivation base. Only now did the pill refinement masters know that this dirty old man was Su Qiuling's master. No wonder he could attend such an important occasion with just a nascent soul realm cultivation base. Dong Su nodded at Su Rushan. Su Rushan understood and sighed helplessly. If that's the case, I can only let old ancestor Dong Su bring Su Qiuling to the 800 cultivation countries to try my luck and see if I can get a 6th revolution pill master to save her. After making up his mind, Su Rushan stood up and cupped his fists at the pill refinement masters, ordering them to leave. My daughter can no longer be saved. I'll have to trouble all of you to take care of her. Since you've come from afar, you can rest for a while on the Pleasure Devil Island. I still have some matters to attend to. I won't be able to entertain you personally. Wait. Your daughter might not necessarily be incurable. As long as she marries me, I have a way to save her. Just as the pill refinement masters were about to leave, a sharp voice suddenly resounded. The person who spoke was a short and wretched-looking skinny man with a mouthful of yellow teeth. He had the cultivation base of a peak nascent soul realm cultivator. He was staring at Su Qiuling's extraordinary figure and laughing lewdly. Master, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. Su Rushan was in a bad mood. He had already asked them to leave. Why did this rude person suddenly jump out? What does he mean by marrying him can save her? Who does he think he is? Is he the king of heaven? Can he cure someone that even the Pill Island can't? Little brother, the Tao of medicine is not a child's play. Yanggu was displeased. He could not bear to see people using the name of the Tao of medicine to swindle and kill patients. That's right. Master Yanggu is absolutely right. If the Tao of medicine can't save Miss Qiuling, then what about the Tao of poison? The question from the wretched-looking skinny man immediately made Yanggu speechless. In ancient times, the Tao of poison was as mysterious as the Tao of pills. Both of them could cure illnesses and injuries. It was just that they were passed down from generation to generation. The orthodox Tao of poison had branched out into Tao of poison, Tao of curses, Tao of insect expelling, and so on. Yanggu did not know much about the Tao of poison, but he could not say that it could not cure Su Qiuling. Who are you? Are you proficient in the Tao of poison? Su Rushan's expression softened a little. I am a rogue cultivator from the Alliance of Ming Assassins. Yellowtooth. My master is a divine transformation realm expert in the internal sea. He had once obtained a certain kind of Tao of poison by chance. It's called the dual cultivation goo. This insect has been refined by me for 1,000 years, and only I can control it. As long as your daughter consumes this insect and dual cultivates with me, allowing me to cleanse her cultivation, all of her injuries can be healed. What? You have the dual cultivation goo. Upon hearing the name of the dual cultivation goo, even Su Yen Dong Su and Yanggu, who did not know much about the Tao of poison, were greatly shocked. The dual cultivation goo was a kind of Tao of poison that only the ancient cultivators knew how to rear. By stimulating the power of the Tao of poison, it could cure most of the serious injuries and illnesses. This Tao of poison also had a special characteristic. Once it is refined by someone, it cannot change its owner. If this yellow tooth really has the dual cultivation goo, he might be able to dual cultivate with Su Qiuling and cure her. When Su Rushan thought that his beloved daughter was going to be defiled by this wretched yellow tooth, he struggled internally. This struggle also appeared on the faces of Yan Zhongzi and Dong Su. However, this might be the only way to cure Su Qiuling. How should they choose? I want to use the dual cultivation goo to save her. Not only do I need to take all of your daughter's primordial yin, but I also have another condition. I heard that Island Lord Su and that ferocious devil Zhou Ming are quite close. My master has a request for Island Lord. Island Lord must make a great heart devil oath. In the future, when Zhou Ming returns to the external endless sea, and my alliance of Ming assassins kills him, Island Lord must not help us. If you agree to this, I can save your daughter's life. The yellow-toothed man sneered. He came to this place for 2 reasons. Firstly, he wanted to marry the beauty. Secondly, he was ordered by his master to destroy the friendship between the Pleasure Devil Island and Ning Fan in preparation to kill Ning Fan in the future. This time, Yellow-Toothed was representing the Ming Assassination Alliance. His tone was impolite, causing Su Rushan to frown. Your conditions seem to be too many. Whether or not my Pleasure Devil Island is on good terms with Zhou Ming, what does it have to do with your alliance of assassinating Ming? If you don't agree to this request, this Huang will naturally not make a move to save you. As for your daughter, she will definitely die. The yellow-toothed man sneered. Yellow-toothed man's conditions really put Su Rushan in a difficult position. Befriending Zhou Ming was the will of the giant demon clan patriarch. He could no longer disobey. If I don't agree to Yellow-toothed Z's condition, I won't be able to save my daughter. What should I do? Yan Zhongzi was very unhappy. He was especially unwilling to let his lovely niece marry such a wretched man. But now he was an outsider and could not help Su Rushan make a decision. While Su Rushan was in a dilemma, a small figure who had been silent for a long time spoke. The alliance of Ming assassins is nothing. Dual cultivation goo is nothing. If my master, Zhou Ming, returns, he can easily save Miss Qiuling. Yulong was enraged. The person who spoke was none other than Yulong. He had not followed Ning Fan for a long time, but he admired his master to the bone. Moreover, he had always believed that Ning Fan could save Su Qiuling. In his heart, he had long regarded Su Qiuling as Ning Fan's lover. If Ning Fan was Yulong's master, Su Qiuling would be his mistress. This wretched yellow-toothed man in front of him really has the guts to say that he wants to snatch my mistress as his woman. Who does he think he is? Who are you? The yellow-toothed man's eyes turned cold and shifted his gaze to Yulong. He glanced at him from the corner of his eyes, and immediately felt disdain. Yellow-toothed man was a peak nascent soul realm cultivator, while Yulong was just a mid-nascent soul realm cultivator. With this kind of cultivation base, he was not a match for yellow-toothed man at all. I am the slave of venerated Ming. My name is Yulong. Aren't you a member of the Ming Assassination Alliance? You don't even know me. You are Zhou Ming's slave. Humph. Yellow-toothed man's eyes flashed with a hint of ferocity and arrogance as he said to Su Rushan. I've made up my mind. If you want me to save your daughter, you have to promise me one more thing. I want Yulong's head. Bang! As soon as yellow-toothed man's voice fell, Su Qiuling's delicate body trembled for the first time. The strings of her zither broke. Under the veil, the gentleness in her eyes that was originally unmoved by anything turned into indifference. Who do you think you are? How dare you touch young Master Zhou's woman? You can't take Yulong's head away. As for me, I, Su Qiuling, will never marry you even if I have to die. Get lost. Hiss. Many old monsters secretly sucked in a breath of cold air. Fairy Qiuling, who had always been gentle and quiet, could actually get angry. Why you dare to ask me to get lost? Do you know who my master is? Do you know that no one in the endless sea can save you other than me? You can only marry me. Do you want to die? Yellow-toothed man's eyes were filled with hatred. Being despised by Su Qiuling made him so angry that his voice trembled. Die. So what if I die? As the saying goes, silkworms will run out of threads until they die. If I die, I won't have to suffer the pain of yearning. I won't hold it against you for humiliating me with words. However, I won't allow you to touch young Master Zhou's men. You're a member of the Ming Assassin Alliance. I don't like to see you. If you don't get lost, I'll ask my father to kill you. Su Qiuling's expression became calm again. Her heart only moved for one person. Fine. You asked me to get lost. I'll remember this. Don't regret it in the future. Perhaps, Pleasure Devil Island will be bathed in blood soon. Yellow-Toothed Man sneered. It wouldn't take long for the Ming Assassin Alliance to finish their preparations. All the forces related to Zhou Ming would be destroyed. This Pleasure Devil Immortal Island was no exception, even if it was a subordinate force of the giant devil clan. Yellow-Toothed Man coldly flicked his sleeves and took a step out of the main hall. However, before he could take a step forward, a heaven-collapsing pressure suddenly descended from the sky. Under this pressure, no one below the divine transformation realm could stand steadily in the main hall. As for Yellow-Toothed Man, he was at the center of the pressure. Despite having a peak nascent soul realm cultivation base, his bones and muscles trembled. His chest felt as if he had suffered a heavy blow. He took tens of steps back before he could stabilize himself. However, he was already severely injured and coughed out blood nonstop. A breeze blew in the main hall. Purple smoke flashed and a young man in white robes and black cloak slowly appeared. He looked at Yellow-Toothed Man with a cold gaze. Just now, you said that you want to take Yulong's head, bathe the Pleasure Devil Island in blood, and pluck the young lady of the Su clan. Do you dare to repeat those words in front of me? That young man spoke calmly. However, his words carried a baleful qi that could make even divine transformation realm cultivators shudder. At this moment, the sky above the Pleasure Devil Island was dyed red by the baleful qi. At the moment when this figure appeared, Su Qiuling's beautiful eyes turned sour, and tears suddenly flowed down her cheeks. Ning Fan has returned. He's finally back. Su Rushan and Yan Zhong's expressions changed greatly. They actually did not notice Ning Fan's arrival at all. Judging from Ning Fan's traveling light, he was obviously using a teleportation technique. It seemed like it had only been 20 years, but Ning Fan had already advanced to the divine transformation realm from the late nascent soul realm. Dong Su's expression changed. His cultivation base was the highest among them, and his eyes were the sharpest. His cultivation base was at the half-step void refinement realm. After obtaining the comprehension of void force that Ning Fan had given him, he was only a step away from attaining the void refinement realm. However, even Dong Su could faintly feel that the current Ning Fan was undefeatable. Not only has this young man broken through to the divine transformation realm, but he also gave me such a strong sense of danger. What exactly is his current cultivation realm? Yulong's eyes were filled with joy and admiration. Under Ning Fan's aura force, he was as insignificant as a lone boat in the vast ocean. He immediately realized that his master had become stronger again, and he was terrifyingly strong. His master has returned. The alliance of Ming assassins is just a bunch of clowns. Along with Ning Fan's appearance, each of the famous pill refinement masters and old monsters in the external endless sea became terrified. During the past 20 years, Ning Fan's infamy in the external endless sea did not diminish, but increased instead. During the past 20 years, even though the alliance of Ming assassins had risen, there were rarely any old monsters who dared to openly join the alliance and go against Ning Fan. 20 years had passed and Ning Fan had returned. His strength was even stronger and his baleful qi was even heavier. Do you dare to repeat what you just said in front of me again? Ning Fan took a step forward. Yellow-Toothed Man, who was a dignified peak nascent soul, actually did not have the strength to resist at all. His physical body shattered, and his nascent soul tried to escape in a panic. However, Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and kept it in his palm as if he was holding an ant. Hissed at a strong sense of astonishment rose in the hearts of all the old monsters. This Zhou Ming has become even more ferocious than before. Even an early divine transformation realm old ancestor might not be able to kill a peak nascent soul cultivator with a single step. What exactly is Zhou Ming's current cultivation realm? Moreover, Ning Fan did not hesitate at all even though he knew that Yellow-Toothed Man was a member of the alliance of Ming assassins. He was still as bloodthirsty as before. Yellow-Toothed Man was stunned. When his tiny nascent soul was caught in Ning Fan's hand, an irresistible feeling of astonishment quickly rose in his heart. Why, you are Zhou Ming. How can you be so strong? Even my master, old ancestor Zigu, doesn't have such strength. Zigu. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with cold light. Of course he remembered who Zigu was. It was the third elder of the Demon Sealing Palace. He had a grudge against Ning Fan in the past. However, he did not expect that he was still bent on killing Ning Fan, even after 20 years had passed. Behind the Ming Assassin Alliance, there was the shadow of the purple goo. However, there was one thing that Ning Fan could not understand. Zigu was the third elder of the Demon Sealing sect, and he did not know about Ning Fan's strength. However, Lu Jiefan was the lord of the Demon Sealing sect. He should know how terrifying Ning Fan was. Thus, he should not have the guts to hunt Ning Fan down. Is Lu Jiefan dead? Or did he not return to the Demon Sealing Hall? No matter what, I will know everything after I search your soul. Without any hesitation, Ning Fan searched his soul and memories. Yellow-toothed man let out a blood-curdling scream as his soul dispersed. In the main hall, all the old monsters kept quiet out of fear. Ruthless. This forefather Zhou Ming was too ruthless. Killing people and searching their souls was a common occurrence. He did not hide it from anyone, and was not afraid of the alliance of Ming assassins finding out. This was a real demon. This kind of person would not even bat an eyelid when slaughtering a sect or an island. All the old monsters felt a chill in their hearts. Zhou Ming is back. This devil must not be provoked. Chapter 346. After searching Lu Jiefan's soul, Ning Fan showed no mercy and immediately found out Lu Jiefan's whereabouts. In the Star Palace, Lu Jiefan had already returned to the Demon Sealing Hall with serious injuries. As soon as he returned to the hall, he immediately went into seclusion to treat his injuries. If Lu Jiefan finds out that his subordinates are going against Ning Fan, he will certainly be the first one to stop them. Who is Ning Fan? That was a ruthless being whose combat power was comparable to a half-step Void Refinement Realm expert. Moreover, he had 2 half-step Void Refinement Realm corpse puppets with him. After witnessing Ning Fan's strength, even if Lu Jiefan was given 10,000 times more courage, he would not dare to make Ning Fan his enemy. However, when he returned to the Demon Sealing sect this time, Lu Jiefan immediately went into seclusion. He did not know that Zigu wanted to assassinate Ning Fan at all. That was why Daoist Purple Gu dared to join the Ming Assassin Alliance to hunt down Ning Fan. He really wanted to see what kind of explanation Lu Jiefan would give him after he annihilated the alliance of Ming assassins. On the other side, Ning Fan was searching their souls and killing them. On the other side, the old monsters' minds were in chaos. He was Zhou Ming. He was back. The old eccentric's hearts trembled, but they retreated even faster, bidding their farewells and leaving. It was as if staying here for even a moment longer would cause them to lose their lives to Zhou Ming. Yang Gu's white brows furrowed. His temperament was amiable, and he did not like demonic cultivators who cultivated the path of slaughter. Seeing Ning Fan killing Yellow-toothed man with a wave of his hand, Yang Gu also bade farewell and left. However, he was stopped by Ning Fan. Fellow Yang, please wait. What? What advice does fellow Daoist Zhou have for me? Could it be that you're so happy with killing that you want to kill this old man on Pleasure Devil Island as well? Fellow Daoist Yang misunderstands. I heard that you're from the Pill Island. I would like to ask for a pill formula from you. Pill recipe? What pill recipe? The pill formulas of my Pill Island are never sold to the outside world. Humph. Or are you trying to kill me and rob me of my treasures in this place, old ancestor Mingzuan? Yang Gu was displeased. As a great scholar, his temperament was normally gentle, but he had a type of arrogance that wouldn't be subdued by others. At this moment, there were no outsiders in the hall, and only Yang Gu, Su Russian, and the others remained. If Ning Fan wants to kill Yang Gu would have no chance of winning since he has the advantage in numbers. However, Yang Gu was not afraid at all. Daoist Yang has misunderstood. Ning Fan shook his head expressionlessly. He was not a person who would kill indiscriminately. The yellow-toothed man had the Tao of death. However, this Yanggu had come from afar to treat Su Qiuling's illness out of goodwill. Ning Fan would not kill such a person indiscriminately. After dispersing all of his aura, Ning Fan cupped his fists towards Yanggu with a smile. His smile made Yanggu dumbfounded. Strange, the infamous devil Zhou Ming actually smiled, and was polite to a stubborn old man like Yanggu. I have a way to cure Qiuling's illness. I can make sure that her gold qi will be replenished, and her cultivation base will improve greatly. However, the treatment process is a little overbearing and will hurt her mind. I'm afraid that Qiuling's gold core won't be able to withstand it. I need some pain-relieving pills. I've long heard that there's a pill recipe on your island called the heart-nourishing pill. It's a fifth revolution pill that can nourish a cultivator's mind. I want this pill formula. What? You want the heart-nourishing pill formula? Yanggu was shocked. He was not shocked by Ning Fan's overbearing manner in asking for pill formulas. Instead, he was shocked by the profound meaning behind Ning Fan's words. Ning Fan's tone made it seem as if saving Su Qiuling would be a piece of cake. Ning Fan's tone made it seem as if refining the heart-nourishing pill was a piece of cake. Yanggu's heart shuddered. Could it be that this great devil Zhou Ming is not only a murderous devil, but also a grandmaster in the Tao of pill refinement? Is he a fifth revolution pill refinement master? However, even a fifth revolution pill refinement master would not be able to cure Su Qiuling. Yanggu carefully scrutinized Ning Fan. When he saw that Ning Fan's bone age was less than 400 years old, he immediately shook his head. Young. Ning Fan is too young. Attaining the divine transformation realm before reaching 400 years old means that he has a heaven-defying aptitude. However, it was impossible for him to attain the fifth revolution pill refinement realm at the age of 400 years old, unless he was a genius of the Tao of pill refinement in the upper world who had been nurtured since young. As for Ning Fan, all the rumors about him indicated that he did not have any background. He was just a rogue cultivator. It was already heaven-defying for a rogue cultivator to attain the divine transformation realm at the age of 400 years old to attain the fifth revolution pill refinement realm. Fellow Taoist Zhou, medical skills aren't child's play. Yanggu was displeased. From his point of view, Ning Fan and Wang Wei were the same kind of people. Both of them were young and full of vigor. Just because they knew a little about pill refinement, they thought that their medical skills were extraordinary. This kind of mentality was unacceptable. I agree with fellow Taoist Yang's words. Medical skills aren't child's play. A slight misdiagnosis could lead to the death of a patient. As a teacher, we must not mislead our students. As a doctor, we must not lose our conscience. Ning Fan did not argue with Yanggu. He just nodded at Dongsu, Su Rushan, Yin Zhongzi and Yulong. Then, he slowly walked towards the lady whom he had not seen for many years. I'm back. It was a very simple sentence. However, when Su Qiuling heard it, it made her heart ache even more. It's good that you're back. Ah. She suddenly let out a cry and covered her mouth with her white hand. However, her other wrist was held by Ning Fan's hand. What are you doing? There are so many people here. Su Qiuling's sickly face turned slightly red. It was filled with embarrassment and anger. Since when did I allow Ning Fan to touch my wrist? Nothing much. I'm just feeling my pulse. Medicine soul appear. Ning Fan withdrew all of his baleful qi. His expression was solemn, and his eyes glowed with traces of green light. His entire body was enveloped by a layer of green qi. All of a sudden, his aura changed drastically. Just a moment ago, he was still a ferocious devil filled with killing intent. In the next moment, he was already a pill refinement grandmaster who was brimming with medicine qi. Medicine soul. Su Qiuling's beautiful eyes sparkled while Su Rushan, Yin Zhongzi and the others were stunned. It was self-evident what a medicine soul meant. Those who possess a medicine soul must be fifth revolution pill refinement masters. Ning Fan was using his medicine soul to feel Su Qiuling's pulse. Hiss! Yanggu sucked in a breath of cold air. He never thought that a person who was not even 400 years old could attain the fifth revolution pill refinement realm. However, Ning Fan, who was standing in front of him, did it. Previously, he looked down on Ning Fan. He hated him for boasting and looking down on pill refinement techniques. Now that he thought about it, he realized that Ning Fan was not looking down on pill refinement techniques. It was obvious that his pill refinement techniques were profound, and he was full of confidence in treating Su Qiuling. Fellow Taoist Zhou, you're actually a 5th revolution pill refinement master. Please forgive this old man for not recognizing you earlier. If I have offended you with my words, please forgive me. Yang Gu cupped his fists. He would not be subdued by power. However, in front of a grandmaster whose pill refinement techniques were better than his, he was willing to lower his head and bow to him. Yang Gu was still a step away from attaining the 5th revolution realm. However, Ning Fan was already at the 5th revolution, and his pill refinement mastery was even higher than Yang Gu's. Yang Gu's expression was filled with admiration. The way he looked at Ning Fan was like how he was looking at a senior in the Tao of Pill. A 5th revolution pill refinement master who was not even 400 years old. Even if he was a venerated pill, he would only be at the 4th revolution when he was 400 years old. This undoubtedly showed that Ning Fan's innate talent in the Tao of Pill was much better than venerated pill. It was highly possible for him to break through to the 6th or 7th revolution in his lifetime. Fellow Taoist Yang is just stating facts. How am I offending you? Besides, fellow Taoist Yang has come all the way from the internal endless sea to treat Qiuling's illness. I appreciate your kind intentions. If fellow Taoist Yang is willing to give me the pill formula of the heart-nourishing pill, I will exchange it with the heart chant to condense my medicine soul. Ning Fan's tone was calm, but Yang Gu's eyes immediately burned with passion. Given Yang Gu's temperament, it was rare for him to show such a gaze. However, Ning Fan's words made him unable to remain calm. The heart chant to condense your medicine soul. Fellow Taoist Zhou, do you really want to exchange this item for the heart-nourishing pill formula? Yang Gu found it a little hard to believe. To ordinary 5th revolution pill refinement masters, condensing their medicine soul was just like crossing a river by groping for the stones. How could there be any heart chant? If there was a heart chant, wouldn't everyone have the chance to break through to the 5th revolution? To some pill refinement clans that had existed for millions of years, they might have inherited the heart chant to condense their medicine soul. However, all of these heart chants were the secrets of their clans. None of them would be taught to outsiders. Even the 9 5th revolution pill refinement masters of the Pill Island and the venerated pill refinement masters of the Pill Tao did not have the heart chant to condense their medicine soul. Ning Fan actually had it. Could it be that this Ning Fan is a talented disciple of some pill refinement clan? The pill formula of the heart-nourishing pill might be precious, but the heart chant to condense a medicine soul could not be measured by the word precious. The rule of the Pill Tao was that pill formulas were not allowed to be taught to outsiders. However, who said that the established rules could not be broken? If any old monster in the Pill Tao were to make a deal with Ning Fan here, they would be extremely happy to exchange a pill formula for the soul condensation secret. Yang Gu did not hesitate at all. He immediately took out a green pill formula and flicked it to Ning Fan, as if he was afraid that Ning Fan would go back on his words. Ning Fan could not help but chuckle and shake his head. He scanned the pill formula with his spirit sense and confirmed that there was nothing wrong with it. Then he took out a jade slip and briefly imprinted the heart chant to condense a medicine soul on it. This heart chant originated from the pill refinement technique that Shiran taught him. It was the secret technique of the profound medicine clan. Of course, it was impossible for Ning Fan to give Yang Gu the complete heart chant. What he gave him was just 1/10 of the heart chant. It was only the rough method to condense a soul. In that case, even if this technique is leaked to the public, it would not expose the secret technique of the profound medicine clan. In Ning Fan's eyes, 1/10 of the incomplete heart chant was not worth mentioning. However, in Yang Gu's eyes, this 1/10 of the heart chant was nearly more precious than his old life. This is actually the heart chant to condense a medicine soul. Even though the heart chant is incomplete, it is undoubtedly thousands of times more brilliant than pill refinement cultivators like us who only know how to make a breakthrough. With this technique, my Pill Island will certainly produce a few more 5th revolution pill masters within 1,000 years. Moreover, it won't take me too long to break through to the 5th revolution. Yang Gu swallowed his saliva and stared at Ning Fan. He felt that the latter was becoming more and more unfathomable. Originally, Yonggu was certain that Su Qiuling was incurable, and that she would die within 10 years. He did not believe that Ning Fan could save her. At this moment, he had great confidence in Ning Fan. He faintly felt that Ning Fan had the ability to save this lady. I want to stay on the Pleasure Devil Island for a while longer to see how fellow Taoist Zhou concoct the heart-nourishing pill and treat Miss Su's illness. Is that possible? Of course. However, if that's the case, aren't you afraid of being hunted down by the alliance of Ming assassins? Ning Fan asked with a smile. Of course, he was willing to use some benefits to rope him in. Alliance of Ming assassins? Humph. Why should I be afraid of them? I am a half-step fifth revolution pill master after all. As long as I raise my arm and call for help, there will be at least 6 to 7 divine transformation realm cultivators in the internal sea willing to protect me. As for fellow Taoist Zhou, you are a true fifth revolution pill master. Judging from your medicine soul, you are not far from breaking through to the mid-fifth revolution. With your pill refinement mastery, it won't be difficult for you to summon 10 divine transformation realm cultivators just by raising your arm and calling for help. What's the alliance of Ming assassins? Yonggu did not put the alliance of Ming assassins in his eyes at all. An assassin organization that has a divine transformation realm old ancestor? Such words were only meant to scare the nascent soul realm juniors. To a high-grade pill refinement master who had a good relationship with others, the alliance of Ming assassins was nothing. If the alliance of Ming assassins dares to attack fellow Taoist Zhou, I am willing to help you and fight together, Yonggu said straightforwardly. Ning Fan had given him such a great benefit. Of course he knew how to repay his kindness. Su Yan and Yonggu were stunned by what they saw. Who was Yonggu? He was a pill refinement master that even ordinary divine transformation realm cultivators had to treat with respect. A pill refinement master of this level was actually convinced by Ning Fan with just a few words. Moreover, Yonggu was even willing to help Ning Fan fight against the alliance of Ming assassins. 20 years ago, Ning Fan could only let Su Yan and Yonggu treat him as their peers. 20 years later, Ning Fan could make those whom Su Yan and Yonggu did not dare to offend bow their heads to him. Su Qiuling's eyes lit up. The man whom she fancied was indeed extraordinary. I have always believed that if you return, you will certainly be able to cure me. I have been waiting for you. Su Qiuling unconsciously revealed her affection. Don't worry. I am here. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with confidence. He would certainly cure Su Qiuling. On the Sword Island of the Eternal Endless Sea, a one-armed middle-aged man who carried a heavy black iron sword descended on the island like a ray of sword light. The moment it landed, the Sword Island's grand formation, Mortal Void Grade Grand Formation, collapsed in an instant. The 14 million ancient swords buried in the island all let out trembling sounds of fear. Countless experts on the island soared into the sky. They stared at the white-robed middle-aged man in disbelief. Even Venerated Sword, who had a half-step void refinement realm cultivation base, felt like his sword intent was going to collapse under the gaze of that white-robed middle-aged man. This man's sword Dao cultivation base is really strong. I want the broken immortal trapping sword. The white-robed middle-aged man's expression was full of vicissitudes. His face was full of stubble and his eyes were empty. His long hair was loose and half of it had already turned white. He did not seem to like talking much. He only uttered a sentence indifferently to state his purpose of coming. However, what he said immediately aroused the anger of countless experts on the island. How dare you? Who are you? How dare you break the grand formation of my Sword Island and seize my island's treasure, the broken immortal trapping sword? Don't you know about the agreement between Thunder Sovereign Buzhou and the Rain Palace? Are you trying to anger Lord Thunder Sovereign? However, before the group of experts of the island could finish speaking, Venerated Sword suddenly waved his hand and shouted in a deep voice, stopping everyone from speaking. Shut up. No one on the island dared to make any noise after he said shut up. It was enough to show Venerated Sword's prestige. Someone bring the broken immortal trapping sword and give it to this senior. Venerated Sword sighed helplessly. What? That's the supreme treasure of our island. If we lose it, the density of the sword spiritual qi on the island will decrease by at least 60%. The cultivation speed of all the disciples on the island will be greatly reduced. Many elders objected. However, all of them were silenced by Venerated Sword's next sentence. This person is the white-robed sword god, Yin Tianjue. Venerated Sword sighed and did not explain further. He only reported the name of the white-robed swordsman. But when the name was announced, everyone on the island revealed an incomparably terrified expression. White-robed sword god. Yin Tianjue. We understand. Lord Venerated Sword. We will go get the broken immortal trapping sword now. None of the elders said anything else. There were some people who didn't need to explain anything to you if they wanted something. They could just come to your sect and report their name, and you wouldn't dare to disobey them. The old devil was once that kind of expert. This white-robed swordsman was also that kind of expert. Not long after, a few elders of Sword Island brought a broken sword wrapped in a blue cloth and handed it to the white-robed swordsman. The white-robed swordsman received the sword. He did not open the cloth and only took a casual glance at it. Immediately he frowned. A piece of the sword blade is missing. He didn't like to talk much. This sentence was naturally to ask for the missing sword blade from Sword Island. Reporting to Senior. This missing piece of the sword blade was taken by a friend of mine to help his disciple suppress the golden chi in his lifeline. Whoosh! Before Venerated Sword could finish speaking, the white-robed swordsman's sword flashed and disappeared from everyone's eyes. Even with Venerated Sword's cultivation, he couldn't see the speed clearly. He is Yin Tianjue, the sword devil who forgets his heart and forgets his emotions. Venerated Sword swallowed his saliva. If this white-robed swordsman was angered, he could flatten the entire Sword Island with a single sword strike. Chapter 347. The news of Ningfan's return had spread across the entire external Endless Sea at a terrifying speed overnight. In the Yingzhou Immortal Island and the Ming Assassin Alliance, as soon as they heard that Ningfan had broken through to the Divine Transformation Realm, at least 30% of the forces left the alliance and tried their best to distance themselves from it. They were afraid of Ningfan's ferocious reputation. They could not imagine how fearless he would be in killing people after breaking through to the Divine Transformation Realm. These were all stories to be told later. The Rising Phoenix stage had been rebuilt a long time ago. 20 years ago, Ningfan had caused a massacre here. 20 years later, the wind and snow here were still the same, and the old people were already gone. On the bronze platform, Ningfan, Dongsu, Su Yan and the others were sitting around a fireplace. They were chatting while warming their wine. Most of their topics were about the changes in the external Endless Sea. Su Yan and the others had asked Ningfan about his experiences in the past 20 years, but Ningfan did not mention a single word about them. Su Qiuling was like a newly married wife. She warmed the wine for Ningfan at the side with a gentle and respectful expression. Behind Ningfan, Yulong's eyes were filled with fanaticism and admiration. In the past, when he was taken in as Ningfan's servant, he had complained incessantly. Now, however, it seemed like becoming Ningfan's servant was the greatest opportunity in his life. Yulong's master was not an ordinary person. He was a Divine Transformation Realm patriarch. A person who could drink wine with the 7 venerables of the internal sea. What they were drinking was a type of spirit wine called Drunken Past Dust, which was brewed by Dongsu using hundreds of flowers. It was known for its great capacity for alcohol. Those who did not have enough magic power would definitely not be able to drink much. An early-stage nascent soul cultivator would be drunk for a month after drinking 1 drop. An early-stage soul formation ancestral patriarch could drink 10 bottles at most. After drinking 11 cups, Su and Yin left with bitter smiles. They had to immediately return to their closed-door training to refine the alcohol, otherwise they would be drunk for a month. After Su Yan and Dong Su left, Yulong also received Ningfan's permission to return to the mysterious Emerald Palace to rest. Only Ningfan and Dong Su were left on the Phoenix Ascension platform. For the entire night, until dawn, the two of them were not drunk at all. This made Su Qiuling secretly surprised. She had already endlessly overestimated Ningfan. However, She had never expected that he would be able to drink with her half-step void refinement realm master for an entire night without losing the upper hand. Su Qiuling lazily lifted her sleeves to cover her face and yawned sleepily. She stared at Ning Fan and gradually became infatuated with him. 20 years. 20 years of waiting was worth it for tonight. The 10 jars of drunken former dust were all drunk. Dong Su was no longer in a drunken mood. He laughed heartily and returned to rest. As for Ning Fan, he kept the storage pouch that Dong Su had given him. With a wave of his magic power, all the tipsiness and drunkenness disappeared. What good things did Master give you? Su Qiuling's bright eyes flickered. Some puppets, some pills, some immortal jades, some heavenly dwelling treasures. Of course, there are also some insights on how to refine heavenly dwelling treasures. Your master said that these are your dowry. Ning Fan stood up and stretched his body comfortably. His bones emitted a crisp sound like popping beans. He shook off the snow on his shoulders. Even though he sounded relaxed, the things that Dong Su had given him were definitely valuable. All of them were the benefits that he had promised Ning Fan in the past. 1,000 grotto heaven treasures. Each of them could be sold for more than 1,000,000 immortal jades. 17 soul formation puppets, 10 at the early stage, 4 at the middle stage, 2 at the late stage, and 1 at the peak stage. There were 50 bottles of peak 4th revolution profound essence pills, and each bottle contained 20 pills. Each pill could increase the magic power of a peak nascent soul cultivator by 1 unit. Apart from that, there was also the heart of Mother Earth, which was given to him by Su Rushan through Dong Su. These items were definitely valuable. Ning Fan would remember Dong Su's kindness in his heart. I will cure Qiuling. Don't worry. Ning Fan seemed to be talking to the wind and snow. However, he knew that Su Rushan and Dong Su were waiting for this promise. Just as Ning Fan was talking to the wind and snow, a pink sound-transmitting paper butterfly flew through the wind and snow and landed on Su Qiuling's palm. The little butterfly seemed to have transmitted some information into Su Qiuling's spirit sense. Immediately, she could not help but burst into laughter. What are you laughing at? This sound-transmitting paper butterfly is very unique. Did you make it? Ning Fan's eyes moved. Among the low-grade cultivators in the Endless Sea, there was a type of sound-transmitting paper that was very popular. It could be used to send messages by falling paper dolls, paper cranes, paper butterflies, and paper tigers. It was little Lian who sent me a message. She told me something interesting. I could not help but laugh. Su Qiuling combed her black hair. Her ethereal aura was like an orchid in an empty valley. She was a talented woman. Even though she was slightly sickly, it added to her elegance. Su Qiuling kept the paper butterfly and said with a faint smile, Young Master Zhou, are you going to rest first or are you going to concoct the heart-nourishing pill? Are you going to accompany me to rest? Ning Fan teased. Sure. If you dare, I dare. Su Qiuling looked indifferent even though her neck had turned pink from embarrassment. You are really the most special woman I have ever seen. Ning Fan shook his head. If Jihe said this, she would probably scold him for being a hooligan. However, Su Qiuling was much calmer and more unperturbed than most women. It was as if nothing could surprise her. She was a woman who had already seen through life and death, sorrow and joy. You should go and concoct pills. I want to concoct the heart-nourishing pill as soon as possible, so that your injuries can be healed. Thank you for your love, young master. However, young Master Zhou, please take note. There is an old man standing in the snow outside the pill concoction room. Standing in the snow outside the door of the Chung family. Ning Fan was rather surprised. It was an illusion of the cultivation world. It referred to 2 cultivators of the Confucian sect, Yu Xiao and Yang Shi. In order to seek the Tao, they stood outside the door of a great Confucian sect with the surname Chung for an entire night, and turned into a snowman. Ning Fan immediately understood why Su Qiuling was laughing when his spirit sense swept across 50,000 li. Without saying a word, he directly hugged Su Qiuling's slender waist and took a step forward. Purple smoke floated out of his body. Su Qiuling's delicate body trembled slightly, but she did not resist. This woman was really a bold woman for love. Even if Ning Fan violated the rules of etiquette by having intercourse with her in front of the wind and snow, This woman would probably not care about it. I won't regret Zhongzi crossing my wall, Su Qiuling muttered to herself. What? Nothing. It was Su Qiuling's first time experiencing the speed of a divine transformation realm cultivator. The whistling wind and snow beside her ears made her feel intoxicated. She did not even have the time to marvel at Ningfan's speed. In just a few breaths, they had already arrived at the top-grade pill concoction room of the profound Jade Palace. Outside the room, the wind and snow were intertwined. An elderly man in scholarly robes was covered in snow like a snowman. He had really been standing outside the pill concoction room for the entire night. As soon as he saw Ningfan coming with a beauty, he immediately shook off the snow on his body and cupped his fists with a smile. Fellow Taoist Zhou, are you here to concoct pills today? The old man seemed to be looking forward to it. Yes. Fellow Taoist Yang, do you want to watch from the side? Of course I do. Yang Gu's eyes were burning with passion. After he obtained the Medicine Soul Heart Sutra, he was extremely close to attaining the Fifth Revolution Pill Refinement Realm. If he could watch a Fifth Revolution Pill Refinement Realm master concoct pills at this critical juncture, it would certainly be a great way to accumulate experience. Rules? Ningfan asked indifferently. Of course. Of course. Yang Gu took out a storage pouch filled with immortal jade, and passed it to Ningfan. In the Endless Sea, one would have to pay a fee to watch a Fifth Revolution Pill Refinement Realm master concoct pills. 1 million immortal jade per person was not a lot, but it was a rule. Imagine, if a Fifth Revolution Pill Refinement Realm master invites 1,000 or 10,000 people to watch and learn from him. How much money would he earn? To improve one's pill concoction technique, one would need to consume a large amount of spiritual herbs. In itself, it would burn a lot of money. Rules could not be broken, especially rules that allowed one to collect money. Lu Yonggu stood at the entrance of the pill refinement room and watched from afar. As for Ningfan and Su Qiuling, they walked side by side to the pill cauldron and ignited the cauldron. Su Qiuling could observe and learn from him at a close distance. Even if she did not learn the art of pill refinement at all, it would still be beneficial for her to observe and comprehend something by analogy. Beside Su Qiuling stood a half-damaged Heiho. Even though it was half-damaged, its tyrannical aura still startled Yang Gu. This is a half-step void refinement realm spiritual puppet. Hiss. Yang Gu could not help but feel shocked. A half-step void refinement realm expert was one of the 7 venerated experts of the internal sea. To think that he would actually be refined into a puppet by Ningfan. Yang Gu could not help but wonder what level Ningfan's cultivation base had reached. Ever since the news of Ningfan's return spread out, the outside world had heard that he was a divine transformation realm cultivator. However, it was only rumored that he was an early divine transformation realm cultivator. But Yang Gu didn't believe it. Would an early divine transformation realm cultivator have a half-step void refinement realm spiritual puppet? Fellow Taoist Yang, please don't mind me. This puppet is my principal. As soon as he finished speaking, he did not explain any further and tossed the spiritual herbs into the pill cauldron. The existence of the spiritual puppet was to protect the pill concoction master. It was to prevent the observers from sneakily attacking the pill concoction master, destroying the pill, or even injuring the concoction master. Asking for payment and being on guard against Yang Gu. Ningfan always said the ugly words in advance. He would not take advantage of others, but he would also not let others take advantage of him. Yang Gu's mind was greatly shaken. He realized that he had underestimated Ningfan's strength and temperament right from the beginning. However, this shock soon disappeared. In just the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Yang Gu was completely captivated by Ningfan's pill concoction techniques. This is the pill concoction technique of the 9 Revolutions River Cart. Purple ribbon binding body. This is the pill concoction technique of the 3 Purities pill condensation. Heart-splitting fire. This is more than 90% of the pill concoction techniques that Ningfan used were seen by Yang Gu for the first time. In the past, he had only read about them in ancient books. His heart was filled with joy. It's worth it. It's really worth it. I can see so many mysterious techniques with just 1 million immortal jade. This trip is really worth it. Time passed day by day. This time he had spent an entire month concocting the heart-nourishing pill. Ning Fan was very attentive and meticulous. This was a nourishing pill for Su Qiuling to recuperate her mental state. Thus, he naturally could not be careless. He was a beautiful butterfly. However, this butterfly was full of emotions. During this 1 month, his techniques were constantly changing between 2 completely different Tao of pill refinement. The 9 Revolutions River Cart required him to fuse his demon power and improve its quality through repeated changes. Finally, the pill would be formed. The 3 Purities pill condensation required him to split his spirit sense into 3 parts and calcine them from 3 different parts. The part with the strongest demon power would be the pill heart, while the other 2 parts would be the pill embryo. Different techniques were fused into one in Ning Fan's body. His thoughts and his Tao were to fuse the 2 poles of yin and yang, which were completely different things. The green qi around Ning Fan's body intensified, and the medicinal mist became dense. Ning Fan's aura was rising and transforming. Yang Gu was shocked once again. He could tell that Ning Fan had actually touched the bottleneck of the mid-grade 5th Revolution pill refinement realm, because he had touched upon 2 different pill concoction techniques at the same time. Fellow Taoist Zhou is about to break through to the mid-grade 5th Revolution pill refinement realm. I, Yang Gu, am actually fortunate enough to witness the breakthrough of a mid-grade 5th Revolution pill master. To Yang Gu, this was extremely significant. As long as he engraved every detail of Ning Fan's breakthrough in his mind, he would definitely have the chance to break through to the mid-grade 5th Revolution pill master in the future. Spending 1 million immortal jade was definitely worth it. Even if he had to pay 10 million or 100 million immortal jade, it would still be worth it. No, I must pay this amount of money. I want to acknowledge fellow Taoist Zhou as my master. Yang Gu's eyes flashed with a hint of persistence. Ning Fan's pill refinement technique was too profound. Even though his level was not the highest in the Rain world, each and every one of his actions was imperceptibly tainted with the mannerisms and temperament of great Emperor Luan Gu. Accepting a disciple was a good thing, especially a disciple like Yang Gu who was willing to sacrifice himself. There was no need to give him any benefits. He just needed to casually imprint some snacks for him, and he would be satisfied and loyal to him. Moreover, he would provide a large amount of pills for Ning Fan's force when he is not around. His first disciple was Xueqing. This disciple had most likely broken through to the 4th Revolution and provided a large amount of pills for Ning Fan, right? Ning Fan, of course, did not know why Yang Gu wanted to acknowledge him as his master. However, even if he did, it would probably depend on his mood. At this moment, he was concentrating on the improvement of his cultivation realm. Along with a sound that sounded like a cocoon breaking out, the green qi around his body suddenly shone brightly. The green color of his qi became deeper, and it began to slowly transform into a black color. The black color was black. His pill refinement technique had broken through to the mid-grade 5th Revolution. Phew. My pill refinement technique has finally improved. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with joy. The improvement of his pill refinement technique this time was very significant. This time, he achieved a breakthrough in his pill refinement realm with his own efforts after the pill refinement technique he inherited from ancient chaos had reached its limit. This meant that as long as Ning Fan continues to work hard, he would definitely become a grandmaster with his innate talent. Young Master Zhou, you've worked hard. Do you need me to prepare some bathwater for you? Su Qiuling could not help but giggle. After a month of pill refinement, Ning Fan's face was already covered in dirt, making him look like a young master who was fleeing from a destroyed country. Why is he not a beggar but a young master who is fleeing from a destroyed country? It was because in Su Qiuling's heart, no matter how down and out Ning Fan was, he still had an unyielding will. As long as his heart remained firm, he would still be a young master, and not a beggar even if he had to flee and travel around the world for 19 years. Are you going to accompany me in the bath? Ning Fan was still teasing her. If you dare, I will. Su Qiuling was still as resolute as ever. Thud! The sound of a heavy object hitting the ground interrupted their conversation. It was Yang Gu who knelt on the ground and bowed deeply to Ning Fan. Fellow Taoist Zhou, No, venerated Ming, please accept me as your disciple. Yang Gu's eyes were filled with determination. He had a premonition that Ning Fan would become a pill refinement master that surpassed venerated pill in the future. He might even become the new pill sovereign of the Rain world. Ning Fan's eyes widened and he felt rather speechless. Why do all the madmen who are obsessed with pill refinement like to take me as their master? If I accept Xueqing as my disciple, he can watch over my pill refinement and provide an endless supply of pills for the 3 Black Devil Divine armies. But what's the use of accepting Yang Gu? Fellow Taoist Yang, you have to be cautious when accepting a master. Venerated Ming, please give me a chance. Even if I have to start as an honorary disciple, I'm willing to do so. I know that venerated Ming likes to travel around the world, and you don't like me following you around. However, you don't have to worry. I will take care of myself and I won't cause any trouble for you. This is 100 million immortal jade. Please accept it as a token of my sincerity. Yang Gu was very nervous. In his entire life, this was the second time he knelt to someone, and the first time he accepted someone as his master. The first time he knelt was thousands of years ago when he knelt in front of his parents' graves. He left his war-torn hometown and the capital of a mortal country to embark on the path of cultivation. What benefits do I get from accepting you as my disciple? Ning Fan's words were very realistic, but they were also the truth. In the cultivation world, if there is no deep friendship, why would you do something that doesn't benefit you? If Master accepts me as your disciple, I can recommend you to join the Pill Island and become a foreign elder of the Pill Island. Moreover, I can help you obtain the quota to enter the soul washing pond. If you can enter the soul washing pond, Master's medicine soul will certainly improve tremendously, and your pill refinement mastery will improve tremendously. It is even possible for you to attain the high-grade 5th revolution pill refinement realm. Yang Gu kowtowed again with a sincere expression. As a disciple, it was natural for him to show filial respect to his master. In order to become Ning Fan's disciple, it was even more appropriate for him to give him a gift. His heart was filled with anxiety. After all, this was related to his entire lifestyle of pill refinement. He asked himself 1,000 times in his heart, if I miss out on Ning Fan, will there still be another person who can teach me such extravagant pill refinement mastery? No way. Ning Fan remained silent, but his heart was moved. It was not his first time hearing about the soul-washing pond. If he could enter this pond, his medicine soul would improve and his pill refinement mastery would naturally improve tremendously. In other words, not only would he not have to spend too much effort to accept this disciple, but he would also receive great benefits? Ning Fan's eyes narrowed as if he had made a decision. Chapter 348. An unnamed disciple was Ning Fan's answer to Yang Gu. For the time being, he would register them. If they were not to his liking, he would kick them away. If they were useful, he could nurture them a little. Even though it was just an ambiguous answer, it still made Yang Gu extremely excited. He immediately bid farewell to Ning Fan and rushed back to the Dan Island in the Internal Sea. Firstly, it was to recommend Ning Fan to become a guest elder of the Tao of Pills. Secondly, he could invite a large group of people to help him eliminate the alliance of bright assassins. It was not certain how many people he could invite. Yang Gu was very popular. With his easygoing personality, he had friends everywhere. With the addition of some good friends from the Tao of Alchemy, this group battle would probably be very spectacular. The matter of Yang Gu had come to an end. What followed was to remove the hidden dangers in Su Qiuling's body. Firstly, he had to retrieve the fragment of the immortal trapping sword. Apart from that, he had to solve the problem of Su Qiuling's lack of birth charts. For a few days in a row, Ning Fan shut himself in his room and pondered hard. He deduced dozens of treatment plans and finally chose 3 of them. As soon as he left the Black Jade Palace, Ning Fan headed to the Blissful Summit to look for Su Qiuling. However, her room was empty. He spread out his divine perception and searched half of the Pleasure Devil Island, but he still couldn't find Su Qiuling. Ning Fan was secretly surprised. In the middle of the flower grave, a young girl who looked like a young maidservant walked towards him timidly and handed him a paper butterfly. Young Master Zhou, this is for you from young mistress. Young mistress asked you to look for her. The little girl's voice was trembling. She seemed to be very afraid of Ningfan. Your name is Xiaolian? Yes. Little Lian didn't dare to raise her head. Did you fold this paper butterfly? Oh, Xiaolian deserves to die. Xiaolian won't dare to do it again. The young girl cried out, and knelt down to beg for mercy. It seemed that the maidservant was not allowed to break the sound transmission paper butterfly, to prevent the secret from being leaked. And don't worry, I won't tell anyone about this. This butterfly is quite pretty. Not bad. Ningfan patted Xiaolian's head, and opened the paper butterfly. He glanced at the words inside and immediately did not know whether to laugh or cry. He took a step forward and disappeared without a trace. Only the maid Xiaolian was left kneeling on the ground in the distance. She only dared to raise her head after Ningfan left. Her expression was still filled with fear. Behind the cluster of flowers, 7 to 8 maidservants immediately came over to help Xiaolian up when they saw that Ningfan had already left. Each of them was filled with fear. Xiaolian, you've got guts. That young Master Zhou is the infamous devil of the outer seas. He's killed countless people. You actually dared to say 3 sentences to him. I'm fine. I've heard that he's a great devil who lusts after other people's wives and daughters. He didn't do anything to you, did he? I think he touched your head just now. Could it be that he planted some kind of restriction on you? Her female companions were all worried. Xiaolian shook her head, blushed, and said in a low voice, I feel that young Master Zhou doesn't seem to be a bad person. He even said that the paper butterfly I folded was beautiful. Miss Xiaolian is thinking of love. I think it's more than just yearning. Even her soul has been seduced by young Master Zhou. Hee. Haha. A group of young ladies then began to play in the flower path, completely forgetting about how terrifying Ningfan was. In the sky above the Pleasure Devil Island, Ningfan scanned the area with his spirit sense. When he sensed the playful activities of the maidservants, he sighed. Even though the status of these maidservants was low, and they even had low aptitude which made them have no chance of reaching the Gold Core realm and Nascent Soul realm in their entire lives, they were innocent and naive. Indeed, Ningfan envied this kind of peaceful and playful life. However, life did not give him a choice. There was only one sentence in that sound transmission paper butterfly. It was Su Qiuling's soft and gentle voice. Beauty flows like water and never returns. Poor young Master Zhou is not yearning for the mundane. That sentence was a poem that Su Qiuling casually made. She was truly a talented woman. Her life was already in danger, but she still had the heart to play hide and seek with Ningfan. She hid herself and let Ningfan find her. Poor young Master Zhou is not yearning for the mundane. Is she pitying Ningfan for being too busy with cultivation? Ningfan shook his head. He was at his wits' end when it came to an independent woman like Su Qiuling. He closed his eyes and pressed the tip of his finger on the paper butterfly. Using the trace of qi on the paper butterfly, Ningfan sensed the residual qi in the wind and chased after Su Qiuling using that trace of qi. Su Qiuling's qi was special. She was immersed in flowers every day. She loved and nurtured flowers. There was a fragrance of flowers that seeped into one's soul. Perhaps she was a flower in her previous life, in the black wind and snow of the Pleasure Devil Sea. A pleasure boat was drifting in the sea. Su Qiuling was the only one on the boat. She was really bold to travel alone in the Pleasure Devil Sea with her peak Gold Core realm cultivation base. She seemed bold, but in fact, that small pleasure boat was a heavenly dwelling treasure given to her by a Paradise realm expert. Once there is an enemy, she could hide in the space inside the boat. No one below the Void Refinement realm would be able to find her. These were just the safety of her rationality. In fact, Su Qiuling was a very emotional person. She believed that Ningfan would come and look for her. That was why she was attracted by his temperament the first time she saw him. She always thought that it was love at first sight. Until 3 years ago, her illness began to act up. She began to lose consciousness and had strange dreams. In her dreams, she was a pitch-black orchid. She was alone in a deep valley, isolated from the rest of the world. No one could enter her world. She also did not need to understand anyone's world. She could admire herself and sing by herself for the entire day. Until one day, a snow-white butterfly flew into the deep valley. It was so white that there was not a single speck of dust on it. However, it was so weak that it could not even stand a gust of wind. It seemed like it had been exposed to wind and rain somewhere. Half of its wings were destroyed by the rain palace. Even so, the butterfly still flew stubbornly. It refused to admit defeat and submit. When the butterfly flew past the top of the orchid, it could no longer fly and fell into the stamen of the orchid. The butterfly's breathing gradually weakened, and it gradually lost its memories. However, it still stubbornly spread its wings and tried to fly towards the sky. At this moment, the orchid understood why the butterfly was injured. It was because this butterfly was too stupid. It tried to fly to the sky with its weak wings. Its wings were torn apart by the strong winds. Stupid butterfly. That is the world of immortals. You are just a small butterfly. Why are you so stubborn? The orchid spoke the language of flowers that the butterfly could not hear. Just like how the orchid could not change the butterfly's will. The butterfly flapped its weak body again and fell back into the stamen. The orchid finally felt heartache. She did not understand why she felt heartache. However, when she saw the butterfly's struggling expression, she could not bear it. She wanted to save this butterfly. Stupid butterfly. Pick my stamen, and you will be able to recover your strength. Stupid butterfly. Tear off my petals, and you will be able to repair your butterfly wings. Silly butterfly, you are too weak. Your body is not strong enough to withstand the astral winds. I am willing to give you the metal chi in my life, so that your butterfly wings will be as strong as iron. Then you will be able to withstand the astral winds. Stupid butterfly. Why don't you look at me? The orchid secretly sprinkled its flower dew on the butterfly and used its petals to repair the butterfly's wings. It gave its gold energy to the butterfly. The butterfly was no longer pure white. Half of it was black. It was given to it by the orchid. Her gold energy was not absorbed by her father's magnetic force. She had already given her gold energy to a butterfly in her previous life. In the end, the butterfly regained its strength and flew into the sky. However, it did not know that an orchid had saved its life. That orchid eventually withered because it lost its gold energy. Until one day, a trace of the ashes of a burning butterfly drifted with the wind to the mortal world and landed on the orchids. At that moment, the orchid's heart was broken. It was like a whimper and lost its last trace of life. A very sad dream. Am I too sentimental? Su Qiuling sighed. That butterfly. Where did it go? Su Qiuling muttered to herself. She was folding a piece of paper that was used to transmit messages. She loved flowers and she was partial to butterflies, perhaps, in her previous life. She had a one-sided love for a butterfly. Su Qiuling controlled the pleasure boat and moved forward at an unimaginable speed. The traveling cultivators passed by the boat, but most of them could not sense the concealed chi of the boat. She was alone, like a vagrant who had no one to rely on. However, Su Qiuling believed that Ning Fan would come back to find her. Dong in the slight wind and snow. A young man in white robes and black cloak chased after the trace of chi and landed on the bow of the boat. He was used to wearing white robes. However, after he turned into a devil, he symbolically put on a large black feather cloak outside his white robes. One black and one white, alternating between good and evil. Going to the sea without permission is not a child's play. Ning Fan frowned and reprimanded her. He had killed many people along the way. He knew how dangerous the endless sea was, especially in a lawless place like the Pleasure Devil Sea. In the past, Yuan Yao was ambushed here. Even though there was no auction today and cultivators from the internal sea rarely came here, and even though Su Qiuling had a heavenly dwelling treasure to protect herself, it was still dangerous. At least, Su Qiuling's body was still sick. It was not good for her to catch a cold. Su Qiuling smiled instead of being angry because only lonely people would understand that being reprimanded by someone was actually a kind of happiness. Reprimanding was actually showing concern. I'm sorry. I was a little reckless. However, I believe that you will come and find me. Su Qiuling stroked her hair and raised her face with a faint smile. Of course I will come and find you. Ning Fan was so angry that he laughed. This Su Qiuling is really a troublesome woman. She is second only to Yin Suqiu. No, perhaps to a certain extent, she can be on par with Yin Suqiu. Do you know the origin of that poem? Su Qiuling suddenly changed the topic. She controlled the boat and headed in a certain direction. Which poem? When we met, you have read quite a lot of poems. Poor young master. Do you know? This is what I felt when I first saw you. Pitiful. Yes, it's just pitiful. It's not the admiration that you imagined. You are too stubborn. Even though your cultivation base is not strong, you still want to compete with Zhao Zijing just for a stalk of orchid. Is it worth it? Su Qiuling seemed to recall that dream. She wanted to ask the butterfly about the orchid. Oh, butterfly, is it worth it for you to fly to the sky so desperately? The orchid had never asked that question before. However, she believed that there must be a reason why the butterfly insisted on flying to the sky. It must be more important than death. I won't ask about your past because I don't exist in your past. Su Qiuling pointed to the front and suddenly smiled. I will bring you to a place. It was the place where I first sneaked out of the Pleasure Devil Island. It was my master who brought me there. That is a country of mortals. In the past, my master used this boat to bring me to see the lives of mortals. At that time, I knew that I am not the most miserable person in the world. My physique is too weak. I can't break through to the nascent soul realm. My lifespan is too short. I will die after 10 years. Even so, I have lived for hundreds of years. Isn't it true? Those mortals have been tortured by wars, plagues and natural disasters in their lives. However, they still stubbornly live on. Even if they don't have enough to eat, even if their fates are full, they still struggle to live on. At that time, I understood that a person can't choose their own fate in their life. However, they can choose their own attitude. No matter how hard life is, they can live on with a smile. If one happens to meet someone they like before they die, what can they do even if they go against the rules of the world? Su Qiuling's eyes were filled with deep affection as she looked at Ning Fan. As long as you dare, I dare. Is that so? Ning Fan looked at Su Qiuling with pity. For a moment he did not know what to say. He did not even have the heart to scold her for leaving the island without permission. If Su Qiuling did not meet him, perhaps she would have died alone in her valley in this life. Where do you want to go? I will bring you there. However, you have to promise me that after we go there, you will obediently return home with me and receive your treatment in peace. No, we will receive treatment in that mortal country. How about it? I like the atmosphere there. There are too many people there. If someone has bad intentions, with your strength, great devil King Zhou, can't you protect a weak woman like me from a bunch of mortals? Su Qiuling's eyes flashed with mischief. I am not as strong as you think. However, if this is your wish, I will do my best to protect you. Ning Fan shook his head. He did not know why, but today, he instinctively did not want to reject any of Su Qiuling's requests. It was just like how he owed her and hurt her in his previous life. Su Qiuling's eyes revealed a hint of happiness. This was the only time in her life that she was willful. She just wanted to see if that person would tolerate her willfulness. However, this happiness had just risen when it was immediately covered by a shocked and embarrassed expression. All of a sudden, Ning Fan grabbed Su Qiuling's waist and lifted her up horizontally. Then he stepped onto the pleasure boat. With a tap of his foot, the pleasure boat immediately turned into a ray of light and flew back into Su Qiuling's storage pouch. Why? It was the first time she was hugged by a man in such an ambiguous manner. No matter how indifferent Su Qiuling was, she could not help but feel embarrassed. Your pleasure boat is too slow. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with a hint of pride. A pair of gigantic purplish-black demon wings appeared behind him. With a flap of his wings, waves surged to the sky. His wings were like the clouds in the sky. With a flap of his wings, he could travel 90,000 li. There is actually such a fast speed in this world. Su Qiuling was stunned. The pleasure boat that Dong Su gave her focused on concealment and heavenly dwelling abilities. However, its speed was not fast. It was only equivalent to the speed of an ordinary nascent soul realm cultivator. As for Su Qiuling, no one had ever carried her to fly. Other than the few times she left the island, she had been imprisoned on the Pleasure Devil Island for almost her entire life. This was the first time a man carried her and flew. This man's speed could reach 90,000 li. In the entire Endless Sea, he could be considered the fastest among all the cultivators below the Void Refinement realm. Su Qiuling laid in Ning Fan's embrace and hugged his neck. She stared at his face and gradually became infatuated. In a trance, she saw a butterfly. A butterfly that did not look at her twice in her previous life hugged her tightly in this life. Speaking of which, where do you want to go exactly? Is there a mortal country in the Endless Sea? Yes. To be exact, it's a half-mortal country. It's a small country on an island in the North Sea. This country was first built by some nascent soul realm old monsters in order to comprehend the life of mortals, and turn into a mortal, or slay a mortal. In other words, these mortals were actually captured by their ancestors and brought to this island many generations ago. They were never told that there were other countries in this world, and they were never told that there were cultivators in this world. Any cultivator who enters this island will be infected by the chi of the mortal world. They will automatically withdraw their magic power and live in anonymity. Of course. Su Qiuling suddenly sighed halfway through her words. Of course, there will also be a small number of cultivators who see that the mortals are weak and easy to bully. They will come here to kill, or to avoid revenge. These kinds of people will be secretly eliminated by a few great cultivators who are hiding on this island. They are the guardians of the security of this country. Legend has it that they were once mortals on this island a few generations ago. That is why they want to protect this country. Ning Fan's eyes glinted. He did not expect that someone would purposely create a paradise in this place that was filled with blood. Perhaps there were many cultivators who lived in seclusion on this island. They were tired of the bloody sea of cultivation, and decided to live here for the rest of their lives. Perhaps some of them were just passing by this place, and would leave after obtaining enough enlightenment. All of a sudden, Ning Fan seemed to have understood something. He looked at Su Qiuling who was in his arms, and revealed a grateful expression. Thank you. What are you thanking me for? Su Qiuling winked her eyes playfully. Thank you for saying that. Poor young master doesn't yearn for the mortal world. Ning Fan sighed. This Su Qiuling is not being willful. She clearly saw that I was too tired from 20 years of killing. She was afraid that I would suffer from chi deviation. That is why she brought me to see some of the past events of the mortal world, to calm my devil heart. This Su Qiuling obviously cares about me. However, she did not say it out loud nor did she ask for credit. She just silently contributed. If you don't pay attention to it, you might miss it. You will never know that she had done everything for you. Looking at Su Qiuling, Ning Fan suddenly felt a sense of familiarity. He felt like he had seen her somewhere before. Where is it? With Ning Fan's speed and Su Qiuling's guidance, they soon arrived at a calm sea. As soon as he stepped into this sea, Ning Fan felt an unusual chi. There was not the slightest bit of spiritual chi in the air here. It was completely impossible to cultivate. This heaven and earth without spiritual chi was, of course, set up by some cultivators with formations in order to simulate the mortal world. After stopping his traveling light, Ning Fan bent down and looked around. There were many boats docked below. There were more than 10 boats in total. On each boat, there was a boatman. At first glance, these boatmen looked inconspicuous. However, each of them faintly emitted a nascent soul realm chi. As soon as they saw Ning Fan and Su Qiuling approaching, the fishermen immediately stood up and looked at Ning Fan with unkind eyes. Halt your steps. This is the place where the cultivators of the Endless Sea temper their hearts and enter the mortal world. Any cultivator who enters this place without permission is not allowed to display their traveling light and reveal a trace of their cultivation base. Otherwise, once the mortals here know that there are cultivators in this world and disrupt their peaceful lives, you will be hunted down by 5 peak nascent soul realm experts. The warning of these fishermen made Ning Fan stunned. He looked at Su Qiuling who was in his arms and shook his head. What should we do now? With my personality, there is never a place that I can't go. If someone tries to stop me, I will kill my way in. Bah! We can enter the island by taking a boat. Su Qiuling was simply speechless. This Ning Fan is really a cultivation maniac and a battle maniac. I brought him here out of kindness to experience the life of a mortal. Yet he still wants to fight and cause a bloody storm here. Is he an idiot? As if she saw someone familiar, Su Qiuling pointed at a certain direction. Immediately, Ning Fan carried her and landed on one of the boats. The boatman on the boat was a middle-aged man with a mid-nascent soul realm cultivation base. He was smoking a tobacco pipe. As soon as he saw Su Qiuling and Ning Fan, he put up a vigilant look. His instincts told him that this young man in white robes and black cloak was very dangerous. However, as soon as he saw Su Qiuling, the middle-aged man seemed to have recognized her, but he was puzzled. "You are Uncle Wang." "It's me. I am Qiuling." Su Qiuling jumped down from Ning Fan's arms and smiled faintly. Her elegant smile immediately made the honest middle-aged man feel embarrassed. He did not know what to do with his hands and feet. "Qiuling, it's you. You have grown up. Cough cough. You are a big girl now. You even have a husband. Fourth uncle doesn't dare to recognize you anymore." "Of course I have grown up. Do you know how long it has been since I came to Wuxia City last time? It has been a few hundred years." "Aya. It has been so long." Fourth uncle is used to the life of a mortal. I don't remember the years." Fourth uncle put down his tobacco pipe and carefully observed Ning Fan. At this moment, he felt like he was looking at his nephew's son-in-law. The more he looked at him, the more satisfied he was. "Not bad. Qiuling has good taste. This young man has an excellent foundation. He is a talent. Why, did you come here to marry your lover on the Qixi festival?" "Marry?" Su Qiuling's eyes lit up. She turned her head and looked at Ning Fan as if she was asking for confirmation. "Do you want to try?" "As you wish," Ning Fan said indifferently. His eyes were still vigilant. He was secretly paying attention to the dozen nascent soul realm experts. If anyone dares to do anything to Su Qiuling, he only needed half a breath to kill all of them. This was his instinct after experiencing the Sea of Blood. Seeing Ning Fan being so cautious, Su Qiuling sighed softly. It's very difficult to make Ning Fan relax completely. Forget it. Even if it's just accompanying him for a trip, it's still very good. Chapter 349. Wang Si was a mid-stage nascent soul cultivator. People called him Uncle Wang or Uncle Si. He was quite popular in Wuxia City. After he gave the order, he steered the ship alone and carried Ning Fan and Su Qiuling through the layers of mist, heading towards an island in the distance. The other ships obeyed his orders and remained where they were. The speed of the ship was extremely slow. It reminded Ning Fan of the past when he took a ship in Wu country. Su Qiuling stood gracefully beside Ning Fan. She tiptoed and tried her best to breathe in the salty sea breeze. Her hair was messed up by the wind, but her face was filled with happiness. Uncle Wang Si was singing a fisherman's song as he raised the sail and steered the boat. The simple and honest song evoked Ning Fan's memories. Originally, his state of mind had already reached the half-step void refinement realm before the bell of samsara. At this moment, his state of mind actually felt a sense of loosening and the urge to improve again. "Young Master Zhou, remember not to use any magic power in Wuxia. We are just ordinary people," Su Qiuling reminded again. "You've said that many times. Promise me that you won't fight with anyone in Wuxia." Su Qiuling's eyes seemed to have a magical power that made Ning Fan reluctant to reject her request. Ning Fan nodded his head. If Su Qiuling's life was not in danger, he would not make a fuss over such a small matter. The sky gradually darkened, from morning to noon, and then to evening. In the distance, an island with a gentle sunset glow came into view. Not only did Wang Si's ship return to the sea, there were also many ships returning to the island from other directions. Some were returning from fishing, and some were also carrying several cultivators, coming to Wuxia to refine their hearts and enter the mortal realm. The purpose of cultivating one's heart into the mortal world was to transform into a mortal and slay it. 4 nascent soul realm old monsters, whether or not they could transform into a mortal, and slay it meant whether or not they could successfully become a soul formation cultivator in this lifetime. Therefore, many of the cultivators who came here were nascent soul cultivators. There were also some gold core cultivators like Su Qiuling. Divine transformation realm experts like Ning Fan were rare. On the shore of the island, a group of armored soldiers dressed as officers were inspecting the cultivators who had entered the island. Because of his relationship with Wuxia, Ning Fan did not have to undergo any inspection, and was allowed to enter the island. He was only asked to conceal his magical treasures and storage pouch. Other than Ning Fan and Su Qiuling, the other 10+ cultivators who went to the island were all asked to search their bodies. After Wuxia handed the two of them a heavy pouch of money, he left the island. Su Qiuling, on the other hand, rented a carriage and drove towards Gusu City. Bamboo fences, small bridges and flowing water, swallows returning late. As night fell, the peak of the auspicious cloud tower lit up with dazzling fireworks. It's so beautiful. It's the colorful fireworks of the precious jade pavilion. Su Qiuling lifted the curtain and looked at the fireworks from the carriage. The nostalgia in Ning Fan's eyes intensified. He began to have an illusion that the killings, the devil cultivation, the sea of blood and the battles were all just a dream. When he wakes up from the dream, he would still be living a peaceful life in the green mountains and clear waters of Wu country. But most of the time he didn't have a choice. However, once he embarked on the path of cultivation, he could no longer turn back. A look of struggle gradually appeared in his eyes. He was struggling with the choice between being an immortal or a mortal. Memories flooded his mind, as if they were knocking on his heart, turning into a voice that echoed continuously in his heart. The path of cultivation is boundless. Repent and you will be immortal. The coachman was rather surprised to see Su Qiuling reveal the origin of the flower fire. Miss, you have good eyesight. It seems like it's not your first time coming to Gusu City. Today is the Qiao Qiao festival. It's really a blessing for you and your lover to come to this festival. The coachman began to explain. He was a rather talkative mortal. However, Su Qiuling did not have the intention to chat with him at all. When Su Qiuling saw the struggle and nostalgia in Ning Fan's eyes, she could not bear it anymore and gently held his hand. The first time she met Ning Fan, he also had the same expression. In front of the lilies, he swept away his confusion and improved his mental state. Today, Ning Fan was confused again. He was using the qi of the mortal world to improve his mental state. Su Qiuling felt pity for him. She just wanted Ning Fan to have a rest. He was too tired and headstrong. However, at this moment, Su Qiuling finally understood that Ning Fan could not rest at all. He did not have time to play. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have willfully brought you here. This will only make you more troubled, right? Su Qiuling blamed herself. It's all right. Ning Fan's eyes gradually became clear. He did not think much of it. The struggle in his mind just now had improved his mental state. One's mental state could only be improved by chance and comprehension. It could not be improved through bitter cultivation. Ning Fan would certainly not let go of such a good opportunity to improve his mental state. He no longer thought that it was a waste of time to play in this place. Holding Su Qiuling's hand tightly, Ning Fan's eyes also looked at the night sky and said indifferently, I should be the one apologizing for letting down your kindness. After all, I can't become immortal again. However, I don't regret taking the path of cultivation. I'm a cultivator. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with determination and pride as a cultivator. He was no longer at the age where he was lost. His mental state was already not far away from the void refinement realm. At this moment, his body ignited with an aura that did not fit in with this place. When his mental state improved, he released a trace of aura force. Those below the peak nascent soul realm would not be able to sense it at all. When this trace of aura force was released, the entire Gusu city trembled for a moment. However, no one noticed it. At this moment, the formation that confined the spiritual qi of heaven and earth in Gusu City was nearly shattered by this trace of aura force. Histarai in Gusu City, 5 old men were lying dormant in the city. All of them had peak nascent soul realm cultivation bases. They pushed open the door at the same time and gasped in shock while looking at the sky. There was a spirit extinguishing formation in the Gusu Sea region that could isolate all the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. giving the city the atmosphere of a mortal world. This spirit-extinguishing formation was a peak divine transformation realm formation. Besides, its design was extremely mysterious. It could not be broken with magic power at all. Even a divine transformation realm old ancestor would not be able to break this formation without using their trump cards or magic treasures. However, just now, the spirit-extinguishing grand formation of Wuxia city seemed to have been broken by a trace of someone's mental state. That trace of aura force revealed a great enlightenment of the Tao heart. It was obviously caused by the improvement of one's mental state cultivation base. That kind of enlightenment had already surpassed the divine transformation realm. It was almost at the void refinement realm. The 5 old men were astounded, and all of them realized that an extraordinary figure had probably entered Wuxia city. Who is it? His mental state has almost touched the void refinement realm. The questions of the 5 old men would not be answered in the end. Moreover, they lived in seclusion and rarely went out. They did not know that a ferocious devil had appeared in the external endless sea, and that devil had descended upon Wuxia city after 20 years. The long bluestone street was filled with people, and the sound of a phoenix flute could be heard. Under the dim lights, a green-robed scholar was enjoying the atmosphere of this place with his eyes closed. Behind him was a white-robed young man respectfully. If there were cultivators from the external endless sea here, they would definitely recognize that the white-robed young man was the genius of the Tao Law sect of the 10 sections. He was the most talented cultivator among the 7 disciples of the external endless sea. Wang Yun. Wang Yun of the Tao Law sect formed his nascent soul at the age of 400 and reached the peak nascent soul realm at the age of 900. In the past 20 years, he had even reached the half-step divine transformation realm, and was not far from the divine transformation realm. Given his status, the fact that he was standing beside the green-robed scholar so respectfully showed that the scholar's status was even more extraordinary. Brother Yin, what do you think of Wuxia city? Can it help you comprehend the mortal world, and help you break through to the mid-5th revolution in pill refinement? Wang Yun's tone was unusually respectful. From his words, one could tell that the green-robed scholar was an early 5th revolution pill refinement master. It's difficult. Even though it's difficult to improve my pill refinement technique, my mental state is almost about to break through to the mid-divine transformation realm. It seems like it's only a matter of time before my cultivation base reaches the mid-divine transformation realm from the early divine transformation realm. The green-robed scholar's tone was extremely indifferent, but there was a trace of arrogance in it. Not many people knew that his name was Yin Niansu. He was the second genius among the young generation of the Rain Palace. His bone age was 1,000 years old, his cultivation base was at the early divine transformation realm, and his pill refinement realm was at the low 5th revolution. In front of Yin Niansu, Wang Yun and the other 7 disciples of the external endless sea were not even worth mentioning. Speaking of which, the Endless Sea is the territory of Thunder Emperor Buzhou. Other than Zhou Qing of the Zhou clan, there are almost no one else among the young generation that is worthy of his attention. What a disappointment. Yin Niansu's words made Wang Yun's eyes filled with shame. In terms of talent, he knew that it would be hard for him to catch up to Yin Niansu. This person cultivated both pill refinement and magic at the same time, and was able to reach such a realm. He should not be underestimated. However, Wang Yun did not dare to agree with Yin Niansu's tone of belittling the endless sea. To be honest, Brother Niansu, Wang Yun knows of one person whose talent is even higher than Zhou Qing of the Zhou clan. Rumor has it that he has returned to the external endless sea. I believe that even if Brother Niansu has just entered the endless sea, you should have heard of his name. A white-robed and black-cloaked figure appeared in front of Wang Yun's eyes. That figure had trampled all the pride of the 7 disciples of the external endless sea on a windy and snowy night. You're talking about revered Ming Zhou Ming. Yin Niansu's eyes flickered and he shook his head with a smile. Rumor has it that Zhou Ming was able to kill divine transformation realm experts when he was still at the nascent soul realm. Now that he has returned to the divine transformation realm, his name has become even more ferocious. However, in my eyes his talent is only passable. He might be stronger than Zhou Qing, but he is not worthy of my attention. Yin Nianzi did not think much of it. However, as soon as his voice fell, he suddenly felt surprised and looked up to the sky. He saw that the great spirit-severing formation that shielded the spiritual qi between heaven and earth was almost completely shattered by the aura force of a person's mental state. While he was still in shock, a carriage slowly passed by the street. Yin Nianzi's eyes turned cold and fell on a white-robed and black-cloaked young man in the carriage. The aura force of a person's mental state that almost shattered the great spirit-severing formation was obviously emitted by the young man in the carriage. Who is this person? I can't see through his cultivation base. His mental state has almost reached the void refinement realm. He is Zhou Ming. Wang Yun's eyes widened in astonishment. His shock was not any weaker than Yin Nianzi's. In fact, it was even more intense. Wang Yun had never thought that he would meet Ning Fan in Gusu City, where one's heart was refined into a mortal. Moreover, he had never thought that the aura force that Ning Fan emitted when the carriage passed by him was enough to make Wang Yun, a genius of the external endless sea, collapse his Tao heart. He is countless times stronger than he was in the past. Wang Yun wore a complicated expression. In the past, Ning Fan gave him a feeling that he was invincible. Currently, he did not even have the qualifications to stand beside Ning Fan. Just a moment ago, Yin Nianzi was still wearing a proud expression. But now his breathing had become chaotic. He actually could not see through this Zhou Ming at all. As the second most talented person in the Rain Palace, is he actually not as good as Ning Fan? Yin Nianzi slowly calmed his mental state. His eyes flashed with a hint of battle intent. Zhou Ming, huh? I didn't expect that there would be such a person in the endless sea. Inside the carriage, Ning Fan slowly calmed his mental state. His eyes were filled with a strange expression. He seemed to have seen a familiar face on the street that the carriage passed by just now. It's probably an illusion. He did not use his spirit sense. In this country of mortals, he did not want to break his mental state. This was a very good opportunity to improve his mental state and stabilize his cultivation base that had skyrocketed. Where are we going? Just as he was about to ask, Su Qiuling suddenly stopped him. They paid the driver and got off the carriage. Then, they ran towards the night scene where the lights were the brightest. Along the way, Su Qiuling had spent all the silver taels that Wang Xi had given her. However, she was still in high spirits. Look, that's the auspicious cloud tower. All the fireworks are set off in front of the tower. Su Qiuling pointed at the golden tower. There were many stalls selling fireworks of various colors under the tower. After visiting a few stalls, Su Qiuling's expression began to look dejected. What's wrong? Ning Fan asked with concern. There aren't any 7-colored fireworks like before. Su Qiuling seemed to like 7-colored fireworks very much. As soon as her words fell, a white-haired old man sitting at a stall that had the most number of onlookers seemed to have heard her sigh and purposely called out to her. I'm coming. Under the auspicious cloud tower, anyone who wins a game against me will get a 7-colored fireworks. Little brother, do you want to play a game with me? The old man's eyes secretly focused on Ning Fan. His instinct told him that Ning Fan was a terrifying person. However, the old man was not afraid of him at all because he was a late nascent soul realm expert who was even more proficient in the Tao of chess formations. I'll get a 7-colored fireworks if I win a game? Ning Fan smiled. He held Su Qiuling's hand and walked towards the crowd. He did not use any magic power, but his aura made the onlookers unconsciously make a path for him. Don't play chess with him. He's Uncle Qi, the chess addict. He's very good at chess. Only a few people can defeat him. Su Qiuling was a little worried. As soon as she finished speaking, she stood on her tiptoes and whispered into Ning Fan's ear. Uncle Qi is a mid-grade divine transformation realm formation master. The Tao of formations and chess techniques are interlinked. His chess technique is really good. Is that so? Ning Fan did not think much of it. He flicked his sleeves and sat on the green stone bench. Then he met Elder Qi's eyes with the stone chessboard between them. I'm Qishu. My nickname is Chess Addict. Little brother, you look a little unfamiliar. You're really a romantic person. However, I'll make it clear first. If you lose a game, you'll have to pay me 5 taels of silver. If you draw, you won't have to pay me anything. If you win a game, I'll give you a bunch of fireworks. I wonder if you have enough money? Elder Qi rubbed his hands and smiled, as if he was certain that he would win against Ning Fan. He was treating Ning Fan as a fat sheep waiting to be slaughtered. He did not have the demeanor of a nascent soul realm cultivator at all. He was just a greedy old man. Do you have enough fireworks? Ning Fan replied with a smile. While the onlookers were in an uproar. They were just mortals. Naturally, they could not tell how strong Ning Fan was. They only knew that Elder Qi's chess technique was superb, and he was almost the best in Gusa City. However, an arrogant young man who appeared out of nowhere was not afraid of Elder Qi at all. No one thought that Ning Fan could win. However, 2 hours later, everyone's eyeballs fell to the ground. In just 2 hours, Ning Fan and Elder Qi had played 12 games consecutively and won 12 games. After taking away the 12 bamboo tubes that were used to light the fireworks, Ning Fan held Su Qiuling's hand and calmly walked out of the crowd. To Ning Fan, winning against a mere intermediate divine transformation realm formation master was just a trivial matter. Young Master Zhou, I never knew that your chess technique is so good. You really hit it well. Su Qiuling's mouth was slightly open. Based on what she knew, Ning Fan only had a high cultivation base and an excellent pill refinement technique. She did not expect that he also had an extraordinary aptitude in the art of formations. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to win against Elder Qi so easily. Where do you want to go next? No. It's enough. Let's go and light these fireworks. Then, Su Qiuling's face instantly turned red. She bought the red candles and Su wine. She rowed the boat and lit the red candles. Then, she went on a boat with Ning Fan on the Su River. 12 fireworks were lit on the banks of the river. She took a sip of wine and played the zither to get drunk. She tried to use her music to take away Ning Fan's exhaustion from all the killings. On the 7th day of the 7th month in the Longevity Palace, when no one is whispering to each other in the middle of the night, young Master Zhou, a good night is always short. With me around, you can let go of all your vigilance and have a good rest. Su Qiuling had said these words before. Lu Wanner had also said the same thing on that day. Are you going to sleep with me? Ning Fan drank a cup of wine and said half-jokingly. If you dare to. I dare to. This time, Su Qiuling directly fell into Ning Fan's arms and sealed his lips with her soft and tender lips. I really dare to. Her eyes seemed to be telling Ning Fan her feelings. The sound of the gurgling river and the ringing of the bell of the cold mountain temple could be heard from time to time. Beneath them was the swaying boat. It sailed past the Su River and out of the island towards the sea. With the hidden heavenly dwelling, no one actually knew about the boat's existence. The kiss was offered by Su Qiuling. However, she could no longer withdraw her fragrant lips. She had successfully aroused Ning Fan's desire. Even Su Qiuling herself was impressed by her courage. This was her first kiss. When their lips touched, her face was filled with surprise and embarrassment. She felt as if her entire body had softened and was about to melt in Ning Fan's arms. Her perky breasts kept heaving up and down. A tingling sensation spread throughout her entire body. She gradually lost her breath and wanted to leave Ning Fan's lips. However, Ning Fan hugged her tightly and greedily tasted Su Qiuling's fragrant tongue. All mortals had 7 emotions and 6 desires. Since he had become immortal, Ning Fan would no longer use the yin-yang transformation to suppress his desires. How can you do this? Su Qiuling's eyes gradually became blurry. Even though she was bold, she had never imagined that her tongue would be played with by a man like this. She gently pushed Ning Fan's chest with her hands. However, she could not push Ning Fan away. Gradually, she stopped resisting. She allowed Ning Fan to taste her fragrant tongue, giving him the wonderful feeling of having his first kiss. Su Qiuling's small and adorable nose kept letting out soft moans that would make people blush. When she felt that the buttons of her thin blouse were forcefully undone, her moans began to carry a hint of panic. Young Master Zhou, we can't do this here. Su Qiuling immediately felt a thick and broad palm undoing the buttons of her blouse. Then, The palm reached into her thin blouse and began rubbing it through her smooth bra. The plump part of her body was soft and bouncy. It felt wonderful to the touch. Su Qiuling closed her watery eyes shyly and let Ningfan do whatever he wanted. Gusu was the place where she and Ningfan would get married. This pleasure boat was the place where they would consummate their marriage with the flower candle red tent. Ningfan's eyes were filled with tender love as he stared at Su Qiuling in a half-drunk state. In a daze, he seemed to have seen Su Qiuling turning into an orchid. It was a pitch-black orchid that looked similar to him. It was too fragrant. Every inch of her skin had a fragrance that ordinary virgins could not compare with. He wanted to press her down and possess her. His palm caressed her entire body while his tongue wandered all over her body. When the heat pierced into her body, a trace of pure and holy blood dyed the night sky of Gusu City. Su Qiuling's tender arms hugged Ningfan tightly with tears of pain. She was willing to give up everything as long as she would not lose this butterfly in this life. Her moans became more and more intoxicated as Ningfan continued to thrust into her. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.